Simplify e-commerce. The first hour of Sports 56 Middays is also brought to you by Davis Motorhome Marts.
From the top on down, here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series, and the best team in baseball wins it all in 2018.
The Tigers reclaim their crown by crushing Alabama.
Brady under center, victory formation, takes the snap, falls to an E, and that'll do it. The New England Patriots have won.
And Virginia with the all-time turnaround title.
We the North are now we the champions. The Raptors, the 2019 NBA champs.
Now, here are your hosts for Sports 56 Middays, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Countryside, lay back and smell the sun, warm up the Georgia pie. Feels so good to be taking it easy. Why would I ever leave? 'Cause I know I got some
Good morning, everyone. Happy Labor Day to you. Yes, we are working today. It's an all brand new edition of Sports 56 Midday. So if you're kicking back today, if you have the day off, hopefully you'll tune in because there's all different ways to listen to Sports 56 Middays. In fact, watch Sports 56 Middays. First of all, sports56whbq.com on the World Wide Web. You can check us out on Facebook, Periscope, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And, of course, you can listen to us on Sports 56, 96.1 FM, 87.7 FM. We hope you will do that because there is a lot to get to on this Monday edition of Middays. First of all, welcome to September. It's the Monday, September 2nd, 2019 edition of the program. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoie, Austin Eldridge, and a cast of thousands here. We're in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road. That is just north of Highway 40, or Interstate 40. And Sports 56 Middays is delivered each and every day by our title and presenting sponsor, all the great folks at the FedEx Corporation. It was terrific to run into Alan Graff on Saturday down on the field at Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium. Visit FedEx.com/e-commerce to see how FedEx helps small businesses grow every single day. On the program today, Adam Fuller, the University of Memphis Tigers defensive coordinator. What a job the defense did in the win over Ole Miss. He will join us at 10:25, so in 20 minutes. And then Connor O'Gara, our Monday regular, will join us at 11 o'clock to talk college football. We'll have the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was. A lot to get into, not only from the world of college football, but NFL news, baseball news with Justin Verlander throwing a no-hitter. A lot of deals in the National Football League as we get ready for the start of the regular season this week. But a lot of things to talk about, but we'd love to hear from you. Again, most of you are off today. If you're listening, fantastic. Some are working. Some are even listening at work. You could always text in on the First Bank text line at 67129 or hit us up via the phones. First Bank phone lines 360-8255 as we look back at the first big weekend of college football. There's one more game tonight with Notre Dame and Louisville, and that'll put a wrap for week one. But Eli, what a weekend it was in college football. How are you, man?
I am very, very good. Interesting. Some interesting results. But I guess, I mean, to start, we should turn the floor over to Austin to start issuing apologies.
Austin?
What am I going to apologize for?
I don't know. Eli's throwing it to you.
You all last week said you were keeping a list of everybody that texted in saying Memphis was
it wasn't people that texted in. It was just a guess that I had to apologize to.
You said you were keeping a list of every one of those texters' numbers.
No, it was the guest. You said the guest of the show.
No, you said last week you were also keeping a list of every one of those numbers.
No, I never said that. I did say I was keeping a list of all the guests, who I will have to apologize to when I call them when they're guests on this show.
Were you keeping a list and checking it twice?
Unfortunately.
And they were naughty, weren't they?
No, they weren't. I was, for sure. No,
you were just wrong.
Yeah, I was very wrong. In all seriousness, it was I was shocked how bad the offense was for Ole Miss. The offensive line was just atrocious. Defense was a pleasant surprise, but Memphis just shut them down. I mean, that's all.
And I hope our person on the text line who would text in after every single guest that picked Memphis, I hope they are listening today and they will issue an apology.
I'm going to bet they're not and won't. Here's the thing. What we were correct about was, well, the result, but also that it was going to be a close game. How many times did I say this will go down to the wire? And it sort of did. I know Memphis went on that late run where that drive where they went for it on fourth down, and Mike Norvell went for it on fourth down 5 times and converted 3 times. But the little shovel pass that got the first down, for all intents and purposes, ended that game. The safety, of course, by Bryce Huff was huge. But it was really a game that we expected to be tight, and it was tight. The thing where I was wrong was I expected more scoring. I did not expect a defensive battle. First of all, you have a new defensive coordinator in Adam Fuller who's going to join us, a different scheme going from 3-4 to 4-3, and you wonder just how good they would be. Ole Miss was atrocious last year defensively. They bring in Mike McIntyre, and again, one game does not answer questions. You may get a feel one way or another, but it certainly doesn't answer the question that that's how it's going to be the whole season. But boy, Ole Miss came to play defensively. It was a physical battle. I expected it to be physical, Eli, but I did not expect it to be a defensive game where only 25 points total were scored.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody could have thought 25 points. That's just not the way college football is anymore, one. And certainly with these two teams, you thought more offense than defense. Now, I liked the under in the game, but no way did I like under 30 in this game. I mean, that's just insane. But it's, there is both sides. Memphis gets a win, certainly feels great about getting a win, but certainly some question marks that they still have to answer. Ole Miss has to feel like, how in the world do we lose a game in which we hold the opponent to 15 points? Like, if you're going to hold them to 15, in college football today, you better win that game. And they've got a lot of question marks on the offensive side of the ball, which is not altogether surprising. The offensive line is
got a lot of work.
Train wreck, I'll say, I guess, is the left side of the offensive line is non-existent. Still, this is what, a lot of people coming in were singing the praises of, Matt Corral. And I said, yeah, he was a highly ranked recruit, but we didn't see anything from last year that made me think that all of a sudden Matt Corral was going to be some great quarterback. Again, he's under a lot of pressure. There was a lot of guys at his face all day, but Matt Corral didn't look very good at all. I mean, you don't know what you've got there. And again, and beyond that, all of the talent they lost in the guys who catch the ball certainly is a big thing for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, to Matt's credit, he had no time to throw the ball, but he tried to be way too cute with those sidearm throws a lot of times, too, that were just really questionable, overthrowing guys left and right, making bad decisions. Couldn't read coverage to save his life. His coverage reading ability was really bad, but that offensive line is going to need a lot of work.
But to his defense, his first start, he struggled.
Yeah, and a lot of new guys on the line, too.
He's got to get better, and he will get better. But here, really, the key to this game was Memphis's defense and what they did to stymie the running game for Ole Miss, because Scotty Phillips is a heck of a running back, and you hold Scotty Phillips to 62 total yards, and most of those yards came in the second half. And remember, Adam Fuller last year at Marshall. Now, granted, it was Marshall in Conference USA, but he was only one of 3 defensive coordinators that never allowed a running back to go for 100 yards. And that continues here in Memphis, at least in his first game, as Scotty Phillips was held to 62. On the flip side, Memphis, they had their issues on the offensive line. They had a lot of penalties. They had guys getting hurt and coming back. That's a revamped offensive line, too. But those guys were courageous. They would get hurt. They would cramp up. They would get back into the game. And they ended up doing a really good job, especially in their run blocking. In the schemes when they ran the ball, they seemed to give Patrick Taylor and Kenneth Gainwell a chance to run. They gave them some holes. And that's why Memphis ran the ball so effectively. Taylor for 128, and Gainwell had 77 tough yards. I thought he ran the ball really well. Offensively, with the quarterback, Brady White, average game for Brady White. He was 23 of 31. He threw a pick on a pass he never should have thrown. 172, but no touchdowns. They didn't throw too many down the field. It was pretty much high percentage passes. They tried the one to Sean Dykes when they had the illegal formation, and Dykes wasn't able to catch it down the seam. And that was about it. So Memphis certainly is going to have to figure out ways to get the passing game going, and a lot of that has to do also with the revamped offensive line. So both teams' offenses, but especially Ole Miss, has struggled. But defensively, at least some encouraging signs for Ole Miss. And for Memphis, phenomenal way to start the season with the defense playing like they did.
Yeah, this was a lot of the same of what we saw from Brady White. Like, there is just in the first half, I'm not sure he completed a pass past the line of scrimmage. I mean, everything was
flanker screens,
right around the line of scrimmage, running backs, receiver, whatever. Like, there's just no real shots taken downfield, but that's what they're going to do. They're going to do a lot of that. I was disappointed to not see the tight ends more involved in the offense. I still think they have to figure out a way to get both of those guys involved in the offense, because I think they're very good weapons.
I agree.
That can be used in this offense. But Mike Norvell being very aggressive on the fourth down situations. I did not think on the last one. I was like, "There's no way on this 4th and 2 they're snapping this football." Like, he'll try and draw them off sides, and then Ole Miss took the timeout. I'm like, "All right, well, now that they've stopped the clock and there's no clock to use or anything else, he's certainly going to send the punt team out there, right?" And then they came out with the offense again, and I'm thinking, okay, well, he's gonna try one more time to draw them off sides, but certainly they're not snapping this ball. And they did. I mean, that's a bold call.
It really was.
Bold call. And I asked him about it afterwards, and he said, like, I've switched over to the defensive thing on the headset, asked Adam Fuller what he thought, and he said, go win it. And I think they felt that much confidence in the way their defense was playing against that Ole Miss offense that it's like, even if we give it up here, we're confident they're not driving to get a touchdown.
No question.
We just feel that good that they can't go get another touchdown against this.
In years past with Mike, because the defense would have their problems, sometimes they would look good, and then all of a sudden they'd give up a big play. Because of the way they looked in that game, it didn't look like Ole Miss was going to do anything offensively against them. So he had that confidence, not only in his offense to get the first down, but as you said, Eli, the defense, that if we don't get it, they're not going to allow anything with Ole Miss the way they've played. So the confidence in that defense certainly rose to the occasion, and why Mike gambled the way he did.
And it was both of that, because Ole Miss was starting to have some success, and there was a point there I thought the defense was starting to get worn out.
So did
Memphis,
I.
Because Ole Miss had put together 2 or 3 straight drives where they were moving the football. And the thing, like Rich Rodriguez, I think he, on the other side, got way too cute at times. Where they were having success in the second half running the football was just quick hitting things up the middle. They were actually getting some room, and Scotty Fields, and he wouldn't just stick to that. On the one, there was like a 3rd down and 3. He tried some little like shovel pass, little pitch to the left. They couldn't get outside. They were not getting outside. They weren't going to get outside running the football against Memphis. And they were actually having success on quick hitters up the middle. And all of a sudden he throws one of those things in there. And it's like, sometimes offensive coordinators, I think, just overthink things way too much.
Yeah, that was a terrible decision. But the biggest thing, and the key to that kind of put the final nail in the coffin for Ole Miss was you're in your own end zone with a freshman quarterback and an offensive line that hasn't stopped anybody, and you decide to go shotgun. And that was just an absolutely terrible decision. I have no idea what he was thinking on that play call.
On the flip side, Adam Fuller, who's going to join us in less than 10 minutes, dials up a blitz, and Bryce Huff gets in there and gets a safety, and just moments ago named the American Conference's Defensive Player of the Week. He led the Tigers with 5 tackles, including 2 tackles for loss and that sack in the win. He's the first Tiger to win the defensive honor for the American Conference since Jannard Avery, now with the Cleveland Browns, who won it back on October 30th, 2017.
If you're Corral, quick note too, if you're Corral in that situation, I know you're a freshman and you don't necessarily have the play calling given to you yet, but if you're staring at an all-out blitz, you've got to change that play. You've got to call that audible there. You've got to be the leader of that offense in that situation.
All right, before we go to the break, we want to hear from Mike Norvell and some of his post-game remarks, including what he had to say about the fans. By the way, announced 44 and change. It seemed to me, being down on the field, that there was more than that, but I have given up trying to figure that thing out. All I know is it was a great crowd, it was a raucous crowd, and Mike Norvell appreciated it.
Thank you for the energy that you brought into that stadium. And that was an exciting atmosphere to play a game in. So proud of our guys. We talked all through the week. We said whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. And we knew that there would be some first game mistakes, some things that would show up, some guys that had new opportunities. But whatever it took, we just wanted to be 1 point better. And for our football team, hats off to our defensive staff. Coach Fuller, defensive staff was incredible, absolutely incredible. Kept them off balance all game long. We knew coming into it that whoever could establish the running game would put themselves in a position to be successful. And you look at it, we rushed for almost 200 yards. They rushed for 80. That was a big part of this game. I thought Coach Fuller did a great job, with the use of our personnel, how our guys attacked. But it was back and forth the entire time. And I was really proud of our guys, the composure that they had. Some special teams. Adam Williams did a great job flipping the field for us throughout the game. And then to end the game with a 6-minute drive. And that's something I'll remember for a long, long time. Because this football team, it trains. It prepares itself. And they play a top-notch of physical football here in Memphis, and we got to show the entire country that today with how we ended it. And so I'm so proud of our players. A lot of mistakes that we got to clean up. I think you see 10 penalties. We had some mistakes on third down offensively. Defensively, was dominant on third down. I think one of two held them or kept them to 1 of 10. But just it was all in all a great team win. That's what we were hopeful for. And once again, just hats off to Memphis, because you definitely we talk about this being a showcase game. You showed in an incredible fashion today, Memphis.
As he said, 1 point win, 2 point win, 10 point win. It really doesn't matter as long as you win. And although Ole Miss is coming off a bad year, and they're not expected to have a great year, they are an SEC team. They're a Power 5 conference. So, again, as Mike said, 15-10 or 35-10, that's a great win.
Yeah, listen. This is a results-driven thing, man. A win is a win. That you're just 1-0. That's what they had to do, and they found a way to get that done. So again, there's certainly some questions. I mean, offensively, that was not stellar, but they got enough and let their defense win a game for once.
Yes, for once, you're right. The defense shined, and when we come back, we'll talk to the defensive coordinator, the new defensive coordinator, Adam Fuller. What a way to start off his new tenure at the University of Memphis with a stellar performance from his defensive unit. We'll talk to Adam when we return. We are just getting underway, all live today on this Labor Day. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoie, Austin Eldridge, Sports 56 Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
New Life Medical Center has moved to a new, larger location that allows them to better serve their patients. I go to New Life Medical Center for testosterone replacement therapy, which is one of many things they do. They also treat erectile dysfunction and can relieve the pain of joint injuries with stem cell and platelet-rich plasma treatments. They also take care of patients with diabetes, high blood pressure, sick visits, and much more with no appointment necessary and minimal wait times. New Life Medical Center is now at 9160 Highway 64. That's just off I-40. Stop in and see what they can do for you.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farm All, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag Equipment can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, these tractors can tackle every chore on your to-do list. Call 662-890-3141 or stop in today to find a Case IH Farm All that's right for you.
Hi, folks. Rob Walker, Infinity of Memphis, and we've got a new Infinity crossover vehicle that has raised the standard of comparison to a new level. Imagine having both sports car performance and eco-friendly efficiency on demand, working together to empower every driving experience. The result of 20 years of engineering, QX50's award-winning variable compression turbo engine is the world's only engine of its kind. Like 2 engines in one, it delivers a combination of power and efficiency that is truly in a category all its own, and only Infinity has it. You'll never sacrifice performance for the sake of efficiency again. And the new QX50 offers more horsepower than its Audi, Lexus, and Mercedes competitors. Add to that QX50's award-winning sumptuous interior, and you have the best combination of performance and comfort in the mid-size crossover segment.
Infinity of Memphis, and online at infinityofmemphis.com.
You love your pets, but you can't take them with you when you travel. So what do you do with Fido and Fluffy? Take them to Pet Suites. Pet Suites Memphis, Germantown, Collierville is now accepting reservations at their gorgeous new facility that accommodates dogs and cats of all ages. Complete with bone-shaped in-ground pools, indoor and outdoor play yards, expert care, and friendly staff. Book now and new customers get 25% off their first service. Pet Suites Memphis, Germantown, Collierville. 4520 South Forest Hill, Irene Road. Pet Suites, your pet's new favorite place.
Duncan Williams Investment Bankers presents Brett Young live at the Garden, Saturday, September 14th at the beautiful Memphis Botanic Garden. One night, Brett Young, all the hits, with opening act Riley Green. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, visit liveatthegarden.com. Doors open at 6:30, show starts at 8:30. Also presented by FedEx, True Green, Infinity of Memphis, Regions Bank, Radians, Pro Show, Mahaffey Tent, and PDR. Brett Young live at the Garden, Saturday, September 14th.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays delivered by FedEx. This hour is also brought to you by Davis Motorhome Mart. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
We welcome you back to Sports 56 Middays. Hey, we're working here on Labor Day. Some of you are. Most of you are off. We hope you enjoy the holiday Monday. It's a happy day for Memphis Tigers fans after opening up the season with a victory over the Ole Miss Rebels. A little bit later on, we'll take your calls on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 and your texts on the First Bank text line at 67129. But as promised, time to continue the conversation on the Tigers' opening game win over the Rebels. We are very pleased to be joined by the Tigers' defensive coordinator, Adam Fuller. You can follow him on Twitter at FB Coach Fuller. He joins us now on Sports 56 Middays. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for joining us again. We appreciate it. Doing fantastic. It's funny, we want to talk so much about your stellar performance on the defensive side, but you played a big part on the offensive side in that win. When Mike told us that he asked you, flipped over onto the defensive channel, I guess, on the headsets, asked you about rolling on it on the fourth down and taking a chance, and you said, let's go for it, let's go win the game. So you had your hand on that offense, too.
Yeah, I take zero credit for anything our offense did. Yeah.
But what about that thought, though,
I mean, that
to go for it?
That just shows you, whether it's Coach Norvell, myself, whether it's Coach Silverfield, Coach Johns, Coach Lembo, Coach Rushing, whoever it all is, we use each other's as resources to make the best decision for the team. So, obviously we're glad it all worked out and looking forward to moving on here.
You guys obviously had a ton of success in that game that you held them to under 100 yards, under 100 yards rushing, under 100 yards passing, which is virtually impossible in today's college football. It seems like to be able to do something like that. How going into that game, what did you think was going to be the key for you guys? What did you need to do to have the success that you were able to end up having?
We had to try to get the tempo back to how we wanted it, not how they wanted it. And we had to create stops in the run game. I mean, those are the two most important things. Obviously there's things other than that, but when it comes down to formulating the plan against that team, it was just important that those two things always came to the forefront. Yeah,
Phillips, a heck of a running back, and you really stymied him early when they were trying to set the tone with the running attack. They did a little better in the second half, but certainly not what they needed to have. And you've been notorious for limiting running backs when you were at Marshall and now to start off at Memphis. Running backs just don't get 100 yards against you. But like you said, that was the key, is to stymie that running game and really put a little bit more pressure on their young quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we got good players here in the front seven. And we work really hard at making sure that we get things fitted up the right way, no matter what calls we're going to use. We're going to spend a lot of time with that. Coach Clune and Coach Edwards do a great job with those guys up front, and it's important that we keep doing that.
The safety there late in the game, once you see that ball pinned down there after the punt at the 1 yard line, is it your mindset to let's go be aggressive? What kind of take us through that a little bit, that situation and how you kind of approach that? And were you expecting a pass, or would you have expected they would try and run it to give themselves a little room?
I think everybody's a little bit different down there. There's a philosophy that, probably each play caller has, both on both sides of the football. There are head coaches' inputs. There's special teams coordinators' inputs. And then there's each game takes on a role of itself. So, the timing of the game, the momentum necessary, all that stuff plays a role. And, that was one play in the game. It was a big play, and, we just try to make the best call we can on each situation. And, that one worked out for us, and I'm sure they wish they had it back. But, that's just how that play played. But proud of, the guys up front, and Bryce had a good reaction to it, and obviously made the one-on-one play.
Yeah, Bryce Huff, who was just named, I'm sure you've heard, Coach, the American Conference Defensive Player of the Week, which is a rarity. It has been a rarity. First time since 2017 for a Tiger to win that defensive honor. Huff's a big cat, but he's got a lot of dog in him. He's a great leader out there for you.
Yeah, Bryce plays with really good energy. He's a good practice player. Has brought a lot of energy to our weight room and in our practice field. So, we look for big things for Bryce. He's a senior in this program. He's won games here. He's played in big games. And it's our job as a defensive staff to make sure that we keep helping him take the next steps, as we do with all of our guys. And, anytime I told the defense, and Mike tells the team this, individual recognition comes with team success.
Mm-hmm.
And, last week was part of that.
On a game like that, when it wasn't crazy hot out there, but it's pretty darn warm. Do you have to use extra guys and rotating to try and make sure you're not getting guys worn out?
Well, I think when it's game one, and you're playing against a team that, plays at a high octane tempo, they've got good skill players, they're well coached, it's in your mindset to make sure you're rolling guys, especially a team that doesn't change personnel groups like they did not. So, the group that you put out there could be the group that you put out there for an 8-9 play drive. You don't dictate on defense when you can sub guys. You almost have to react sometimes. So it forces you to make sure there's a plan in place early in the ball game, that you have guys that are taking P10 snaps so that your balance of reps don't get too unbalanced when you'll pay for that in the fourth quarter. So that is always part of the plan. But you can only put guys in the field that you can trust and that can make the play. So, whatever your depth is, you're always trying to create more. And we're going to continue to try to develop depth, as we go out to practice tomorrow.
Well, some of that depth came to be early when you lost Thomas to the targeting penalty. And then I think Johnson ended up coming in, and a couple of series later, he had an interception. So you showed off that depth somewhat there with a replacement there in the secondary who made a key play early in that game.
Yeah, Q's done a great job preparing ever since the day I got here. I got trust in him, and I got trust in Tyrez Lindsey, too, who actually went in there and rotated with Q at free as well. So, we ended up playing 5 different safeties. Obviously, Blake Sanchez got the most of the reps with Quindell, with Dre being removed there. But, that's football. There's a lot of moving parts. It's a physical game. You never know who you're going to need. You're trying to prepare everybody, but everybody's always not prepared. So you just always trying to, go through that balance. That's a big loss when Dre gets removed from the game. He's a critical piece to our defense, but the game's not going to stop. You can't call timeout, and you got to put the next guy in. You got to make sure that you're calling defense that's appropriate for the guys that are on the field and that they can go play fast. And I think Q did a good job of that.
What was your impressions of just the atmosphere in your first game with the Tigers?
Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. And it started Friday when we went down to the stadium to kind of move around the new surface. The Liberty Bowl had prepped for us, and the Highland 100 was there. And, I don't want to say how many people were there, but it was enough to get the juices flowing for our players. And, and then for Saturday morning, my wife texted me about 5 o'clock in the morning. She was raring to go. And, to get off that bus and to see that Tiger Nation at the walk at the Liberty Bowl I know it was inspiring for our players, and to be new here and to go through that was really special, and it made me feel really at home here.
We're joined by Adam Fuller, the Tigers defensive coordinator. So, Coach, this is a question I've been asking coaches for 34 years in the media, and sometimes they laugh when I ask this question, but I really think it's poignant. You come off the win over Ole Miss. The guys are just fired up to play Ole Miss. The question of rivalry or no rivalry, the whole darn thing. Now, you turn around with all due respect, and you're playing a Southern University team. There's no rivalry. There's not a lot of history. As a coach and as a coaching staff, does it take a little extra to get the guys back to that level where they were this past weekend for this game this Saturday?
I mean, I don't know if it takes extra or less. I just want to be as upfront, as real as I can. Like, when you're preparing for practices, workouts, or games throughout the 12-month calendar year, I think that sometimes the mistakes that some of us do is you promote certain situations or games bigger than what they really are.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's really just about the next thing all the time. And, we talked about competition not being us versus them, but us with them, and trying to create that competition within ourselves, positionally, within our side of the ball, within our football program, and if it's always about the outside stimulations, then it's going to be really, really hard to be consistent, and then it's hard to get to where we want to go as a program and as a team and as a city, so, we try, as much as, you be specific to each opponent. There's just so many battles out there in this game because there's so many different people playing and, personalities. I mean, each week is just, it's a load. And, it's hard enough to go out there and execute play and play out to really be concerned about who it's going to be against all the time. We're going to put a plan in place to defend who we're going to play against. That's going to change, obviously, each week. But the mindset, the habits, the preparation, the work, it really can never change. And we're constantly trying to make sure we're promoting that, not only on the field, but off the field.
Coach Norvell, when he was talking about that fourth down play, and he talked about talking with you, and he said, that's one of the things that good staffs do is they communicate amongst each other. And obviously so many new coaches coming together, and you don't know exactly how it's all going to work for a game until you're actually in a game. But what was that like with all of the new guys and you get involved? Was there ever any growing pains during that game, or did it all just kind of click immediately?
Since January, we've been together. So maybe we haven't had a lot of games, but if we're doing our job as coaches, every day is unique into itself, and we have a chance to create a game day atmosphere. So, that's been our job. So, we can't, if we're waiting for game one to get that figured out, we got major problems. So, and Mike does too good of a job of putting together the right people, number one, in creating schedules, organization, atmosphere, culture, that we should be able to be where we need to be. And obviously that showed with how our staff operated. But, other than making sure the right guys go up to the box at the right time, that's about it. It's just, me, Coach Rushing, Coach Kloon, Coach Edwards, and our GAs have been together since January. So, if we need more Saturdays to get comfortable with each other, that's my fault. So, we just got to keep working the way we work and know that it's always about the work, and just keep going at it here.
And it's back to work tomorrow as the Tigers prepare for Southern University, again, an 11 o'clock kick on Saturday. He is Coach Adam Fuller, the Tigers defensive coordinator. You can follow him on Twitter at FBCoachFuller. Adam, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And congratulations on the opening game win. Thank you. Adam Fuller joining us here on the program. Well, folks, Davis Motorhome Mart is the first hour sponsor of Sports 56 Middays. They have over 7.5 acres of beautiful travel trailers, motorhomes, fifth wheels, and toy haulers, towable half-tons, motorhomes from 27 feet up to 45 feet from brands like Winnebago, Coachman, Puma, Highland Ridge, and Tiffin. In fact, they're a top 10 Tiffin dealer in the entire United States. They have customers that come from all over the country even from Canada. They converge on Memphis to purchase a motorhome from Davis Motorhome Mart. They know they're getting variety. They know they're getting a great deal. It's a family-owned and operated business. 1145 East Brooks Road in Memphis. And right now they have a big blowout sale going on all their 2019s as they make room for their 2020s. Leave the stress at home, get away, travel to your favorite cities in a motorhome from Davis Motorhome Mart. You can check them out on the web at davismotorhome.com. You can call them at 901-332-3414. When you do, tell them you heard it here on Sports 56 Middays, or again, visit them at 1145 East Brooks Road in Memphis. Davis Motorhome Mart. We'll take a break. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab a seat for Happy Hour. Johnny Radio's Happy Hour from 1 to 3 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Sundays and Mondays are special at the Butcher Shop, celebrating over 35 years of serving the Mid-South by giving a big thank you to you, their loyal customers. You can come in, relax, watch your favorite games, and enjoy hand-cut steaks along with a premium bar. Sunday and Monday nights from 5 until 8:30, you can get select entrees for $25. That includes a salad, baked potato, and bread, and you don't have to pick one, you get all three. Some of those entrees are 10-ounce New York strip steak, slow roasted prime rib, Atlantic salmon with dill sauce, marinated grilled chicken breast, grilled boneless pork chops, and crab stuffed shrimp. Plus, all appetizers and desserts are 20% off. Don't forget, Hamburger Friday every Friday from 11 to 2. It's the best. The Butcher Shop, always a Memphis tradition. Call 901-757-4244, 901-757-4244 for more information, or just stop in at 107 South Germantown Parkway in Cordova.
Listen up, Rebel fans. You can now listen to Rebel Yell Hotline on 87.7 FM or on the web each and every Monday from 6 to 7 p.m. If you can't listen to 87.7 FM, Sports 56 has made it possible to listen online each and every week. All you have to do is go to sports56whbq.com and click on the Rebel Yell Hotline banner to listen. That's Rebel Yell Hotline each and every Monday night from 6 to 7 p.m. on 87.7 FM or on the web at sports56whbq.com.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Hi friends, I'm Shane Stanford from Christ Church, Memphis. Here at Christ Church, we believe in Memphis and we believe in you. And every Sunday at 11 o'clock, we want to invite you to come hear a biblically based, Christ-centered message that talks about God's love for you and His guidance in your life. And also to hear an interview by amazing people who are doing incredible things for our city and our community. So don't miss us, 11 o'clock, right here on this station, every Sunday morning. I'm Shane Stanford. Remember, you matter.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays delivered by FedEx. This hour is also brought to you by Davis Motorhome Mart. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Got some texts here on the First Bank text line to get to. Also got some messages on Facebook. A couple of folks talking about Brady White. Somebody via the First Bank text line says, guys, I'm sorry, this team will not win. Well, they say an ACC title. They definitely will not win an ACC title with Brady White at quarterback. He's absolutely horrible. He obviously has nude pictures of Norvell. Somebody else Alan on Facebook says, sure glad this is the last year for Scared Crow Brady.
It's not the last year.
That's incorrect. That is factually incorrect. He does have one more year after this year because he's been granted that extra year of eligibility. This is Brady White certainly is not the greatest quarterback in the world, but Brady White, with what he did they won. They beat Ole Miss.
Well, let me say this. The person said they can't win they meant AAC championship with Brady White. They went to the AAC championship game last year with Brady White.
Yeah.
He had over 3,000 yards passing. He was one of the more efficient quarterbacks in the country. He was around 30.
He was 21st.
21st. I was going to say within the top 30. What you don't see from Brady White is what you saw from Paxton and from Riley Ferguson, is those bombs down the field. You just don't see it. Now, did I think he played? Do I believe he played well Saturday? No, I thought it was an average game, maybe even a bit below average. He got a little happy feet. He threw that one into a crowd, and as a veteran quarterback, which he is now, he shouldn't have done that. He will get better. But no, if you expect these 80-yard chucks and things of that nature, you're not getting that. Could it cause a problem down the road? Because you don't have the breakaway speed of a Darrell Henderson and a Tony Pollard, although I like what Kenneth Gainwell brings to the table, and Patrick Taylor is a workhorse. Yes, it could be an issue if you're in a shootout with Houston or a shootout with somebody else. It could be, but like you said earlier, they have these tight ends. They have a really, really good receiver in Coxie, and I think White will get better. He is not Paxton Lynch, but he is certainly not somebody who's just thrown into the mix. The guy threw for a lot of yards last year, a lot of touchdowns, and very few mistakes.
He is not going to ever be the type of quarterback those last couple of guys have been. But he also, he doesn't have Anthony Miller to throw to. Lest we forget, Anthony Miller was really good at getting open all of the time. DeMonte Coxie is a good receiver. He's not Anthony Miller.
No.
Anthony Miller just was always open. No matter what, he always found ways to get open and made plays for his quarterback. White doesn't matter. White wouldn't be the same quarterback as them, even with a guy like Anthony Miller. But what they're going to do is a lot what you saw on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of short throws and running the football. We're going to see a lot of that Wildcat, I'm sure, all year long. And they're going to rely on this running game. And Patrick Taylor's going to get a lot of action. And with Gainwell running the way he did, they're going to run the football a lot, and they're going to use a lot of short throws and let guys try and get the ball in their hands in space and then make the play from there.
Look, there will be games this year where the Tigers can score a lot of points. In fact, I would think most of the games they will score a lot of points, but you can't be as efficient offensively when you lose over the last 2 years 3 studs on the offensive side of the NFL. It is not easy to replace them. It is not easy at all. And again, could it be an issue down the road? It could.
Somebody says here via the First Bank text line, can you guys talk about what it may be one of Ole Miss's worst teams and what is supposed to be Memphis's best team, and they only won by 5. Plus coming off probation. It was a joke.
It was a joke in which way? That Memphis should have won by 80? It's still SEC talent, ladies and gentlemen. They're still recruiting players that, as Mike Norvell said, don't want to go to Memphis. And the Memphis guys weren't recruited by Ole Miss. They still have a lot of studs on that team. They're not a good team right now. There's no question about it. But it's still an SEC caliber team. And Memphis, toe-to-toe, out-physicaled, out-slugged an SEC team. So they didn't win it in usual fashion. They won a slugfest. They won a 15-round heavyweight title fight with their defense. That's an encouraging sign.
And the thing is, again, the Ole Miss recruiting class every year is ahead of Memphis. They have more 4- and 5-star guys in Memphis. So whether it's supposed to be Ole Miss's worst, the bottom line is, if you just go by recruiting rankings, the more talented roster is Ole Miss. So to say it's a joke that Memphis only beat them by 5, that doesn't make sense. I don't care what everything else is. The bottom line is that if you just go by pure rankings, roster-wise, Ole Miss has way more talent than Memphis. I will say that if you're an Ole Miss fan, you want to be salty about something. I would be very salty about the roughing the passer call. I think that was a horrendous call. To be honest, if that's roughing the passer, I honestly don't know what a defensive lineman can do.
The face mask was really bad, too.
The face mask, yeah, and I couldn't see that. In the press box, I couldn't see a replay good enough. The roughing the passer, though, I literally, if that's roughing the passer today, then I have no clue what a defensive lineman can possibly do in that situation. I do love the explanation from the official. What he said, rubbing the opponent into the ground to punish him.
Did he say that?
Yeah, it
I'm
was
down
ridiculous.
on the sideline. I'm listening to obviously our broadcast.
Which was a new. I've never heard that one before. He rubbed his opponent into the ground to punish him. So I don't know if you can. I guess you're okay to rub him into the ground if you're not doing it for punishment. But he did it for punishment's sake, and that becomes a penalty. But he didn't do anything. He literally tackled him after he let it go, but it was clean. And he came down on him because there was no other way. He couldn't stop. And then he got up. And somehow they said he rubbed him into the ground for punishment.
All right, we're going to get to that point, though, where we're going to bellyache about some of those calls. I don't think those calls made the difference.
I'm just saying it was a terrible call. I'm not, Again, if I'm an Ole Miss fan, I want to be salty about something. I'm not going to talk about they only won at 5. Like, if there's one thing for Ole Miss to be salty about, it would be that call.
Well, I think
the call was bad, but if you're Ole Miss, you can't score 10 points. You got to score more.
That call did lead to a touchdown.
And most Ole Miss fans are not screaming about bad calls. I give them a lot of credit, all right? They're criticizing their own team and the issues. But as I said earlier in the week, as I said late last week with the games that were played Thursday night, we talked about it on Friday, and the couple of games that were played the weekend prior, stop being a Monday morning quarterback. It's one game. Ole Miss, by the way, installed as a 6.5-point favorite over Arkansas. Now, if they lose at home, their home opener at Vaught-Hemingway to an Arkansas team that beat Portland State by 7 when they were favored by, 30?
Yeah.
If they lose that game, then it goes back to one of the scenarios we talked about in the summer, that Matt Luke could be in trouble if he starts 0-2. He needs to go 1-1. And they're at home, and they're the favorites by 6.5. Doesn't mean they'll win the game, but Vegas obviously looks at that and sees Ole Miss with a better opportunity to win that game. 3 points for home field, you say, right? Well, the rest of it has to be something they saw at Ole Miss as opposed to what they saw with the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Michael on Facebook says, I like what I saw on defense. Certainly, if you're a fan, really if you're a fan of either team, you had to like what you saw on offense.
Yes.
I don't know how much of it was great defense and how much of it was incompetent offense, but for those two defenses, that type of performance, 15 points on one side, 10 on the other, that is reason for joy. You absolutely have to be happy if you're a fan of either team because of what your defense has been.
There's no question about it. It's encouraging for Ole Miss. My gosh, they were so bad last year. They were stiffs out there, and this is a good offense that Memphis puts on the field, and he did a very good job. And offensively for Ole Miss, you guys were all crying about Phil Longo, right? No, give Rich Rod some credit. He will be there when I think he will get. They have to get better. It was the first game. It was a kid making his first start. And Memphis played really, really well defensively. Don't look at one game and decide that's the way it's going to be all season long. Now, a couple of games in, you have these similar problems. Well, then you have a trend.
Somebody via the First Big Text line says, we won't use the damn tight end. Yeah, again, that's the one I really, to me, you've got to get those guys more involved. Now, they did have the chance on the play to Dykes that was not connected on. It was going to come back because of the penalty anyway. But yeah, those guys, again, they got 0 catches, right? I don't think either one of them had a catch.
No, I don't think Magnifico had one. And he is great. He's a great weapon. Did he have one?
Not a single catch for either one of the two guys.
Well, I've been harping on this for how many years now? Since Mike has been there? I mean, I harped on it when Justin was there, but he used the tight end a lot more. Mike gets frustrated when we ask him during the media scrums about that. But I do believe they will go to the tight ends more, but they just didn't see that opportunity there for whatever reason. You will see it more. They're too good. Magnifico. And Dykes is not 100%. He didn't play a lot in that game. But when you have him healthy with Magnifico, that's 2 major weapons at the tight end position.
Somebody else says Brady White's biggest problem is foot speed. Yeah, he's not gonna
run pretty much.
He said he's a little more comfortable running now a little bit, but he's not going to. He's not going to Jalen Hurts it. I mean, when he runs, it's out of need, and you're hoping he can get something positive because, he's just not that fast.
He's not going to De'Aaron King it. He's not going to Malcolm Perry it. He's not going to run. No, he's not going to Paxton Lynch it, for goodness sakes.
Somebody said Norvell said he had goosebumps on the Tiger Walk. Tiger Walk was sweet. I was not out there in time for Tiger Walk, but I heard it was a fantastic crowd. And when I got out there, which wasn't long after Tiger Walk, I mean, there were a ton of people out there, so I'd imagine it had to be a huge crowd for the Tiger Walk.
Unless every fan was lying down and took up 3 or 4 spots, I still don't know how there was only 44,000 in that stadium. I did not see pockets of empty seats. And where they tarped it off, what can you put, 1,500 people there? I didn't see it.
I will say this again. I don't know. I don't know what, but you have to remember with bench seating, those things are sectioned. That bench is supposed to hold, I don't know what they are, probably like 16 people. 10 people can make that look jam-packed because the 16 can't fit on it. So when all those benches are full, they could still be well under the capacity of those benches.
I understand it. Then you talk about heavy people and thin
it doesn't
people.
take a heavy person. I mean,
a heavy person to fit in that one spot is almost impossible.
No, exactly, because a normal
one
person
cheek's going to that second
spot. A normal
spot.
person can't fit in it. Like
right.
If you're just sitting there comfortably when you don't have to scrunch in, 5 people will fill up 8 or 9 of those seats.
No, I completely understand.
People look at it and go, there's no empty seats. Well, there's a bunch of empty seats there. They're just they don't look empty.
Let me go to the First Bank phone lines, and Jason is dialed in. Hi, Jason.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
I guess one thing my problem was Saturday that a couple of times they went on 4th down, they threw the ball. It's like 4th and 1 twice, and they threw the ball behind the screen. They threw the ball to Dykes or somebody else. Why did they just run the ball on 4th and 1? And my question is that your opinion. On Saturday night they was doing the highlights, and one of the analysts was criticizing Tennessee and Ole Miss. Listen, they lost to sub-level programs like Memphis, and I ask your opinion about that, and I hang up.
Okay, thank you. The second question first. They were lumping the losses by the SEC against the group of 5 teams, and Memphis was lumped in there. And his question is, why would Memphis be lumped in there? Because they're better program than the other teams that were mentioned. They're way better than Georgia State. Heck, they scored 59 against them last year. I think they only did that because they were all group of 5s.
Yeah, it's 3 losses to group of 5 teams by the SEC in week 1, which is just something that is like, it's jarring. The idea, the SEC lost 3 games to group of 5 teams in week 1 of the season. So, Memphis is certainly better than Georgia State. I don't know what they are compared to Wyoming, and certainly playing at Wyoming is very difficult. But I mean, they are a group of 5 team by definition.
I would much rather lose to Memphis at Memphis than Georgia State at home, though. So
no question about it. We're going to get to Tennessee and everybody and all the rest of the games around the SEC and some around the country with Connor O'Gara coming up at 11 o'clock. But his first question, okay, so there were 5 tries on 4th down, and Memphis was successful 3 times. I think Brady White had a sneak on 1, and why didn't he run the ball is what Jason's asking, as opposed to throwing a pass where that pass, if you drop it, it's an incomplete. I think, first of all, they believe in that high percentage flanker screen, and they think that they were beating Ole Miss on the outside at the edge, especially with their speed. I think that was the thought process. Whereas up the middle, Ole Miss, although a very porous defense, I understand, is very big on the defensive line. And maybe the thought was they would get some push against the Memphis offensive line. I can't speculate for Mike, but that's my only thought why you would go on a quick pass outside, because they feel they have the advantage on the corner with their speed.
See, and I don't know on those, and some of those, that may be on Brady White based on the look they get defensively. If they are, packing the box, he may have the option to throw the quick pass because we like the matchup. We got 2 receivers out there on 2 guys. All we got to do is get 1 block, and then he's going to get the yard.
Right.
So I don't know if they give White the ability to do that or not, but some of that may just be based on the look they get defensively, changing the play to going outside.
Put that in the memory bank, Austin, for Thursday when Mike Norvell joins us. We could ask him that question. But it's an interesting point that Jason brings up. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, hour number 2. We'll start things off with Connor O'Gara, our Monday regular, talk about a lot of the college games from the weekend. Then we'll get back to your calls and your texts. We got the good, bad, and ugly coming up as well. We will dive into the NFL. A lot of big moves made yesterday that we'll discuss. It's all coming up as we continue. We're working Labor Day, for goodness sakes. We're working for your pleasure. That's basically it. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. You'll proudly mow the lawn. Ask if anybody noticed you mowed the lawn. Tell people to stay off the lawn. Compare it to your neighbor's lawn. And complain about having to mow the lawn again. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance, which, of course, will go right into the lawn. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
The Memphis Tigers football team hosts Southern Saturday, September 7th at 11 a.m. This will be the annual Kroger game, where fans can purchase $10 game tickets at all area Kroger stores. A portion of the proceeds go to the Mid-South Food Bank in support of stamping out hunger in the region. Head coach Mike Norvell and the Memphis football team boast one of the nation's most explosive offenses, so you don't want to miss a single play. Memphis versus Southern, Saturday, September 7th at 11 a.m. Get your $10 tickets at area Kroger stores today. Stripe up.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models, each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today. Shop our aggressive lease and finance options now. Luxury is waiting at Acura of Memphis, or shop online 24/7. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also keep up to date with everything going on by keeping up with Sports 56 on social media. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch for information on breaking news, chances to win prizes, and video of all the shows. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media.
Campbell Clinic now offers daytime walk-in care, and you don't need an appointment. If you've got any kind of urgent break, sprain, strain, you can walk into any of their 5 convenient locations Monday through Friday from 8 until 4. There's no long wait you have to put up with the ER, and those doctors are really good, but they're not orthopedists. They're not world-renowned orthopedists who have come up with different procedures and written the manuals for them that are used everywhere in the world, and I'm not kidding you. And you can now see those doctors who treat the Tigers, the Grizzlies, the Redbirds. You can see them today without an appointment. And I'm talking Collierville, Germantown, South Haven, downtown at the Med Center, or even the Campbell Clinic Spine Center in Cordova. Now, if you've got something pressing, you got to go to work, and you can bear the pain until the evening, there's Campbell Clinic After Hours. That's Monday through Thursday from 5 to 8 in Germantown, South Haven, even Saturday morning in Germantown. If you're injured, don't wait. Visit Campbell Clinic Walk-In Care or Campbell Clinic After Hours.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Labor Day. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoie, Austin Eldridge. We are live. We are all new. No rest for the weary. We're working, baby. There's a lot to talk about on this program. We're in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. It's the Monday, September 2nd, 2019, Labor Day edition of Middays. And we are presented each and every day by our title and presenting sponsor, FedEx. FedEx can help provide global access for your business. Learn more at FedEx.com/e-commerce. We'll get back to your calls and texts a little bit later on. But right now, our Monday regular, he's working as well. He's Connor O'Gara.
It's time to talk some SEC and college football on Sports 56 Middays. Joining Greg and Eli is Connor O'Gara from SaturdayDownSouth.com. Now, here's Connor with Greg and Eli.
Connor O'Gara joins us. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. You don't need no stinking day off, right?
No, Labor Day during the college football season. Come on, Labor Day is that's not a holiday that we in the college football media business really we really acknowledge, just because it's always the first Monday after opening weekend. Why would we want to take that day off?
Exactly. There's so much to talk about. We've been talking nonstop Memphis Ole Miss. We'll get your thoughts on that a little bit later on. But I want to switch games here, talk about the rest of the weekend. And look, it's a sad day across the state of ours over on the east side of Tennessee as the Tennessee Volunteers lost to Georgia State 38-30 as 25-point favorites. I was one, and I can't change. I'm never going to change predictions because I went out on a limb and said Tennessee will be the most improved team in the SEC. It is not an SEC game, but it was bad, really bad. Connor, Tennessee losing to Georgia State, put that in perspective.
It's just stunning. You know, I've said all offseason, I thought that if there was one team that I would bet the farm on improving its win total from last year to this year, it was Tennessee. And you're a 4-touchdown favorite in a game that is supposed to be just a feel-good game for the fans. You know, I said all week that I thought it was going to be a Jim Chaney flex game. You know, his first game back at Tennessee, and he's going to really want to kind of pour it on late. And this is going to be a nice opportunity for Tennessee to just make the fans feel good, make them go home happy. Instead, that stadium is half empty, and all of a sudden you're left wondering why in the world the defensive-minded head coach can't make the right adjustments to be able to stop Georgia State. And it was just an awful look for Jeremy Pruitt. We tend to think that these things are going to be so linear, and we think that just because it's year two, improvement is going to happen in all facets. And that was a reminder that this isn't that easy. And a Georgia State staff, you got to credit Sean Elliott for being more prepared, for being able to make the better adjustments to be able to win that game. But just an awful, awful look for Tennessee that, you know, I don't think fans expected division title or anything like that this year, but just to have that dose of reality after an 8 month long off season where you're talking about improvement, I thought that was just a slap in the face, and that's just such a tough pill to swallow in week one.
That's the thing to me, is that it wasn't like this was something where Georgia State just jumped on them early and then Tennessee could never really figure out a way to recover, because like this was Georgia State throughout the game. Like Tennessee never had an answer for it. You know, at halftime you're thinking, okay, well now Tennessee, certainly in the second half, will figure things out. And they just couldn't do it. I mean, it looked like Georgia State was every bit as good, if not better, than Tennessee, which I just don't understand how Jeremy Pruitt, as you said, as a defensive coach, can't figure out a way to stop Georgia State.
Yeah, and, you know, the defensive issues were obvious. There were screenshots of how bad their defensive alignment was. It was just kind of baffling to watch that. But, you know, you expect an SEC team to be able to impose its will at the line of scrimmage. And Jeremy Pruitt said this offseason, you know, last year we had 2 offensive linemen who were above 300 pounds. And this year we've got 15. And everybody's talking about getting somebody like Trey Smith back. And you're thinking this offensive line is going to be better because you recruited 2 5-star offensive linemen. And you're like, oh, wait, the offensive line still isn't that good. And it still has a long ways to go. And that's a major issue for this team because the schedule is going to get more difficult. And even BYU, who, you know, was able to hang around at least with Utah for a bit, that's going to be a tough matchup for them as well. It's just not going to get much easier than what they were supposed to have on Saturday. And if you're a Tennessee fan, man, you need to see that improvement. You need to see it in a hurry.
You need to see it this Saturday because you're absolutely right. I watched that first half between BYU and Utah in the Holy War. I thought they hung in there tough. And then I didn't watch the second half, and obviously Utah took control. But UT is only a 3-point favorite. The Vols are only a 3-point favorite, and rightly so, because they expect this one to be a tight game. So, they better be on their P's and Q's, or Tennessee's going to open the season 0-2. But in this particular game, Jared Garantano had 2 key turnovers in that fourth quarter. But if I was to tell you before the game he's going to throw for over 300 and a couple of touchdown passes, you probably think Tennessee's going to waltz to the victory. But Dan Ellington for Georgia State, give this guy credit. Couple of touchdown passes, a great running touchdown. He really had poise, and he led that team. They deserve that win.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And it's not to take anything away from Georgia State. I mean, credit those kids for showing up and just being ready to go. I mean, that was a team that was awful in the Sun Belt last year. And everybody, you know, from the Shining Sea was marking that as a win for Tennessee. When we're talking about the schedule and trying to predict how many wins the team's going to have, nobody in their right mind was predicting that upset. So for them to not be intimidated and to not necessarily look at the big-time atmosphere and think, oh, we're not even supposed to be here. Those kids did not do that, and they deserve a ton of credit. But, yeah, at the same time, everybody's talking about this step that Jared Garantano, as we've been corrected to say.
Oh, that's
now,
right. That's right. Yeah.
Still really weird. Like, I'm totally not used to that. I'm just going to call him JG. It's probably easier at this point. But, we expected to take this big step, and for him to struggle down the stretch like that, it was really unfortunate for Tennessee fans to see that, because this is your team. This is the guy who you built your program around at this point. He said and did everything right in this offseason, and to have a dud like that down the stretch, that's obviously not something that you feel really good about going into the meat of the schedule coming up here.
The other team in the SEC to suffer, not nearly as bad a loss, because it was certainly on the road and it's a tough place because of elevation to play. Boy, we had some high hopes for Missouri. The schedule works out so great. We're going to be off to this unbelievable start. And, well, no, okay. How about 0-1? How's that for a start? I mean, that's, again, Wyoming is tough because of elevation and all that. And I think they're probably a better team than Georgia State. But Missouri, you can't let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted this out, like the fact that Mizzou allowed a stretch of being outscored 34-3. There was a 35-minute stretch in which Wyoming was able to do that. How does that happen? How in the world is Barry Odom's staff not able to kind of regroup and be able to say, this is what we need to be able to do to stop the run? I understand you're replacing a lot of key pieces in the front seven, and we probably overlooked that because of how much Mizzou improved against the run last year. They had a top 25 run defense and made big strides in that area, and they allowed 297 rushing yards in this game. That cannot happen. I don't care where you're playing, what the elevation is. If you're an SEC team, you need to be able to take care of that. And Kelly Bryant, there were up and down moments, obviously, in this game, and he still threw for a ton of yards. If there's one takeaway, you feel a little bit better about that if you're a Mizzou fan. But I really, really worry about the run defense. The fact that Mizzou was just not good in the trenches. I mean, let's call it what it was. They could not get anything going. Larry Roundtree is somebody that a lot of SEC fans, or Mizzou fans more specifically, have talked about as being, a top 20, top 25 running back in the country. And he couldn't do anything against a Mountain West defense. This is a Mountain West team that won 6 games last year. For Mizzou to have that big of a collapse for such a key stretch in that game, I thought was just awful. Just not a good look for Barry Odom. For whatever reason, everybody's talking about how they're going to get off to this great start. Teams never get off to great starts. They never do. They're a November team. They're the inverse of Kevin Sumlin, what he did at Texas A&M. And why we thought that Mizzou was going to go into the Georgia game undefeated or something like that. We got ahead of ourselves on that, but no, I did not think that Mizzou was going to have that bad of a performance in Week 1 against a Wyoming team that they should have been able to take care of.
The thing is, if you would think in a situation like SEC team versus a Group of 5, non-Power 5 team, if you outpass them 423-92. You would say that you're going to blow them out, because they're certainly not just going to be able to line up and run the ball against an SEC defense. And lo and behold, as you said, Missouri just couldn't stop them from running the ball, which is just really shocking.
Yeah, baffling. And it's only going to get worse. The division itself has some really, really good tailbacks. Like, what's Mizzou going to do when it faces that Georgia offensive line? Have we thought about that yet? Because I watched that Georgia offensive line, pave the way for Georgia to run for 300-plus yards in that game against Vandy. What are they going to do when they have to see Florida, even a team that has a very inexperienced offensive line? They still got LaMichael Pirine. I have very, very big concerns about what they're going to do in SEC play this year.
The game everybody was anticipating, Auburn and Oregon, the only game matching 2 ranked teams this first weekend of the NFL season, and it lived up to the expectations. Oregon dominating early. I was telling Eli during the break, and I'm being very, very honest here, I never thought Auburn was going to lose that game. There's just something about the Pac-12 when they play the SEC. But the way Bo Nix was playing, it was like, man, how are they going to do this, though? I kept saying they're going to do it, but how? And then all of a sudden, Bo Nix with the 26-yard touchdown pass to Seth Williams with 9 seconds left, and they just shocked the Ducks, who led by 15 in the third quarter. And Oregon, heck, they may still win the Pac-12, but they put the nail in the coffin already for the Pac-12, in my opinion, or at least for Oregon. I mean, Auburn is not the first, second, third, or fourth best team in the damn league. and they beat them, and Oregon had a huge lead. This is a devastating loss, in my opinion, for Oregon and the Pac-12. And meanwhile, for Gus, he rides on the bus a lot longer without so much the hotness of the hot seat coming at him, because that was a great come-from-behind win.
Yeah, just kind of like last year. I wrote after Auburn beat Washington in the opener last year. Washington is this big, heavy favorite to go to win the Pac-12 and then to go to the playoff. I wrote after that game, I'm like, do we not realize what teams with a 9-game conference schedule have to do if they lose that big headliner non-conference game? It's an uphill climb that nobody's been able to make so far. And for a team like Oregon, that's the uphill climb that they're all of a sudden facing. And they were the preseason Pac-12 favorite. I thought that Washington was going to win the conference this year, so I'm not necessarily dismissing the playoff chances as much yet. I know a lot of people are saying Utah is a potential sleeper, but what a huge win for Gus Malzahn. I mean, just massive to be able to not only win that game, but in the fashion that he did, where I was so interested in how he was going to handle the key points of this game when you knew Bo Nix was going to have some sort of struggles, right? He's a true freshman facing a really good defense, a defense that's built like an SEC team. And he had those moments in that game. And was Gus Malzahn going to say, you know what, no, I got to bring in Joey Gatewood. I need somebody with a little bit more experience to come in and save the day. He didn't do that. He stuck with Bo Nix. He brought Joey Gatewood in for that goal line play to be able to do the Cam Newton run into the end zone, and it was a really smart call in that spot. But he said, you know what, I'm going to put the ball in the hands of Bo Nix, and I'm not just going to settle for a field goal to try and win this game. I'm going to let him go try and make a play. If he stays single coverage, I'm going to allow him the chance to throw that ball, and sure enough, he did. He makes the play of the week in week 1. It just has this big coming out party. This Gus Malzahn that we've seen throughout this offseason, we saw signs that it was going to potentially be more decisive and that he was just going to be a little bit more entrenched in really what he's trying to build there and what he's able to build in week 1 with Bo Nix. I thought it was really impressive for him to be able to overcome the mistakes that he made and to be able to make a play down the stretch like that was absolutely amazing. And that defense did a heck of a job keeping him in the game, too. That's probably the overlooked thing with that game.
It's a little freakish when you do see his touchdown pass, and then they compared it to the video of his dad's touchdown pass against Alabama. I mean, that's like creepy.
Yeah, I don't really know how that always works out. There's always like some sort of weird connection like that, but you're watching that and you're like, okay, all right, there's something else. There's something else going on here. There's some weird juju in the air. I can't really put my thumb on that. Logic, you can look at all the stats and logic that you want, but yeah, when something like that happens, you just kind of say, all right, this might be something this year.
All right, so you were at the Bama game, right?
Correct.
All right, Bama rolls over Duke. Slow start for Alabama, and they had the suspended players and all that stuff, and then they got it going, and they ended up rolling. The defense, even though they lost some key players, certainly was stellar, and offensively, too, is just tremendous. First of all, look at you hanging out with those very attractive women. I don't know who they are, but nice pictures, by the way.
They're for the Bachelorette. You know this. Come on, you know this.
I don't. I'm not Barrett Sallee. I don't watch the Bachelorette or the Bachelor.
I would have probably recognized it. Was it the Hannah? Were you with some Hannahs?
So Hannah B and Demi were both there. They were at the game. I mean, it's Alabama Hannah. She loves her Crimson Tide. She says "Roll Tide" like every other sentence. Yeah, of course she was going to be at that game. And my SDS podcast co-host Chris Marler and I, we both watch the show. We both enjoy it. It's a fun way to spend a Monday night in the off season. We watch it with our significant others, and yeah, of course we were a little bit excited to see that they were down on the field, and we weren't going to waste that opportunity. Meanwhile, they're doing the post-game celebration where, Saban is getting the old helmet put on him and stuff. Everybody's freaking out about that. And we're like, hey, we just want to get a pic with the people from the Bachelorette. So,
nice photo.
Right?
Yeah, man.
Okay. I just saw it now, yes. Okay.
They are easy on the eyes. But I wanted to bring this up. So, what's his name? Bayless is at it again this morning. So he tweets out. He tweets out that I bet Nick has reservations somewhere in the back of his mind about letting Jalen go and keeping Tua. Let me say this. First of all, watching Tua play, he is incredible. He has such a great arm. He has great accuracy. He throws it on a dime. Jalen Hurts had an unbelievable game for Oklahoma. I like him an awful lot. That's why they were both at Alabama. But if you think for a second Nick Saban is second guessing himself because he has Tua and not Jalen Hurts, Bayless, you are on drugs.
Yeah, Tua, who just put together like one of the best seasons in college football history, is I'm sure. Yeah, he's like, oh man, I only have this guy. That's terrible. No, watching the game plan get adjusted too for Tua, that was the impressive thing. It was, and I actually, like pretty much everything I predicted was going to happen in week 1 didn't happen. But the one thing that I actually felt pretty good about was I thought that Sark was going to struggle a little bit in his first game back as offensive coordinator early on, just getting kind of a feel for the weapons, what's going to work, what's not going to work. Those deep passes that Alabama relied on last year, Duke's secondary is very experienced on the back end. I didn't think those over-the-top plays to Jerry Jeudy were necessarily going to be there early on the way that we saw last year, and sure enough, they weren't. And all of a sudden, Bama starts doing these crossing routes and starts hitting on the intermediate throws, and it was like that was all she wrote because nobody was going to be able to keep up with them, running across the field in man, and then Tua is good enough where you can pick them apart in zone, and whether it was Jalen Waddle or Jerry Jeudy, he was able to find whoever he wanted. And that's the brilliance of Tua, though, is that he now is getting to the point where he is understanding that he needs to be able to do that more. And if he takes that next step this year, I mean, look out, because that's the step that's further than what Trevor Lawrence is already at. I mean, Trevor Lawrence hasn't necessarily had that failure yet. I know he had a kind of a slower week 1 game, but what Tua did, kind of responding and making that adjustment with Steve Sarkisian, that bodes really well for this Alabama team, and just kind of trying to be a little bit more diverse in their passing game.
You look at the SEC East. We talk about Tennessee, we talk about Missouri. Then there's South Carolina. They didn't lose to a Group of 5 team. It was a Power 5 team, but North Carolina was terrible last year. Is this the genius of Mac Brown, or what do we take out of South Carolina?
We take that a coaching staff that had a lot of questions coming into the season has even more questions right now. And the fact that they laid that big of an egg in the second half is just awful for the pro Muschamp crowd, who has been saying, he inherited a mess with Steve Spurrier, and we should really give him the benefit of the doubt because it's South Carolina. This isn't Alabama. We're not going to turn this into a national powerhouse in a couple of years. We need to give him some time. Even that crowd watching that game and the struggles that they had on both sides of the ball down the stretch, they're like, all right, this is bad. This is really bad. But for all the people that are saying, oh, well, Muschamp's going to get fired this year, I tend to look at his situation as barring disaster, right? Barring disaster is, okay, this guy's not getting fired unless he puts together a 2-10 season, and South Carolina suddenly gets every booster that it has to say, we will pony up the money for that $22 million buyout, because there's no other way that this scenario is happening. It's not like Will Muschamp's going to go 5-7 and get fired. I just don't think that's realistic because of how big that buyout is this year, because of the contract extension that he agreed to after the 2017 season. So Will Muschamp, in my opinion, is very, very, very likely to be safe for this year, despite what we saw in week 1, and despite the fact that their schedule is as tough as any team in the country. But for all the people saying that we need to continue to give him more time, this has the makings of a coach who could be a lame duck heading into 2020 if this is not improved, because that was just an awful showing from Jake Bentley, and really from a defense that should have been much better, that did not have the answers down the stretch. And that was just an awful way for Will Muschamp to get the season started, a game that South Carolina fans also had penciled in as a win the entire offseason.
I predicted only 5 wins for South Carolina, but I certainly thought they would take care of North Carolina, as Eli said, coming off the awful year, new head coach Mac Brown. Just the second half was awful. Although that last play, North Carolina almost boneheaded them an opportunity to win the game. They did bonehead them a chance. But it didn't work out for South Carolina as they took the knee on 4th down. But my gosh, that was awful. All right, one final thing before we let you go. We've got about a minute. Give us your thoughts on the game that Eli and I were at, and I covered on the sideline, the Ole Miss-Memphis game.
If you would have told me that the winning team was going to have 15 points, you could have knocked me over with a feather.
Me too.
I did not think that at all. As I've said on your guys' show, I'm high on Memphis this year. I think they're going to represent the Group of 5 in a New Year's Six Bowl, and a lot of that was based on what they were returning on offense. And we did not see that high flying offense, but that's a good sign for Memphis, in my opinion, that they were able to look at what Ole Miss was doing. And Ole Miss, was just a disaster offensively. Matt Corral made some decisions that reminded you that he's a redshirt freshman, and that was just not the showing that they were hoping to have in week 1 with Rich Rod now under control with that offense. And I think for Memphis, this kind of sets up really well for what they're trying to do. This is a team that could potentially be favored in every single game this year. And I think that getting through a game like that ugly and relying on their defense for once, I think that's great for Mike Norvell. I mean, you saw his reaction after the game where he's fist pumping, hands in the air, feeling really good about it, because it always is a good look for you as a head coach, and your value goes up when you can beat the Power 5 team who's an hour away from you. So, yeah, I tip my cap to Memphis for them being able to limit an Ole Miss offense that, yes, while inexperienced, is still Ole Miss. I mean, they still have talented playmakers on the outside. So, yeah, impressive, but did not go exactly the way that I thought it would from a game flow standpoint.
I have to believe, based on the performance of both teams, you are really jacked up for Ole Miss Arkansas this week, right? I mean, you can't wait for that.
Hey, that's going to be rough, man. Yeah, I'm taking Arkansas by default, but I don't feel good about it.
Hey, speaking of rough, be careful down there with that hurricane, right? I don't know what the hell it's doing, but hopefully it's okay where you are.
Yeah, appreciate that. It's looking like the worst of it is going to miss us, but we're hurricane prepared. We've got all the essentials and everything. But yeah, hopefully this thing just kind of reroutes itself and misses all of the coast, not just Florida, but also South Carolina, Georgia, those areas as well. Hopefully everybody can stay safe.
He is Connor O'Gara, senior national columnist for SaturdayDownSouth.com and SaturdayTradition.com. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. Catch him every Monday right here on Middays. Have a great week, man. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Appreciate it, guys. Don't work too hard on Labor Day, all right?
You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that Ole Miss Arkansas game this week, not exactly going to have the people excited.
But
they combined 30 points against Portland State and Memphis.
No, you're right about that. By the way, Rakeem Boyd, who's from the Last Chance U series, 18 carries, 114 yards, a touchdown, but only 20 points, as you said, against Portland State. But this game, as we'll talk about this weekend schedule, the further we move along in the week, it's a must for Ole Miss. Arkansas's not doing anything with Chad Morris this year. I don't care if they win one game. They're not doing anything with Chad Morris. I don't think anyway. I shouldn't say that in this day and age, right, the way schools throw around money. But I think he's fine. You got to give him a chance. With Matt Luke, it's a different ballgame. We talked about the hot seat he would be on if they started 0-2. It is a must for Ole Miss. And by the way, Jeremy Pruitt meeting the media right now in Knoxville on fans being upset, feeling like the season is over after week 1.
He said you're correct.
I hope they are disappointed because everyone in this building is disappointed. We have to go back to work.
Matt Luke, by the way, I think he's safe until they get a new AD and Chancellor in there. So I think he's got this year, even if he starts 0-2, he's fine. But I don't think he's coming back next year if they win out.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like a mid-season or an early season firing. I'm just talking about more than likely the chance that they would go in a different direction. I like Matt an awful lot, and I certainly hope they get it turned around.
I like Matt, but he's not the answer for the future, I don't think.
Somebody pointed out the First Bank text line, too, that the Ellington kid, the quarterback at Georgia State from Center Hill High School down in Olive Branch.
Yeah, Gary Darby tweeted me that, and I had no idea. I thought he was terrific. He played a great game. That run in the fourth quarter for the touchdown that pretty much sealed the deal was tremendous. And remember, Tennessee got an by-the-way touchdown in the final seconds to make it 38-30.
Well, the whole day in Knoxville was off to a bad start when one of the boats in the Vol Navy burnt and sunk. That could not have been a better indicator of what was to come than that right there. You might as well have canceled the game at that point.
Yeah, that was a strong omen. By the way, Blake Topmeyer will join us tomorrow to talk about the opening disaster for the Vols.
That is a rough way to start your season. Lose a boat and then lose the game.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, especially for those who happen to own the boat. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get back to your phone calls at 360-8255. We have open lines on the First Bank phone lines. First Bank text line, 67129. We will get to the good, bad, ugly as well. We got some NFL to talk about, a number of deals made, and I think the Texans were involved in every single one of them. We'll talk about that coming up on the program. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Dive into an ocean of delicious possibilities at Ocean Blue Seafood and Bar, 6600 Stage Road at Kirby Whitten in Bartlett. Mouthwatering boiled crab legs, crawfish, shrimp, clams, mussels, and more. Want a working lunch that won't slow you down? It's Ocean Blue. Ocean Blue features the wettest happy hour in town with $3 specials all afternoon long. For lunch, dinner, or a seaside sundowner, it's Ocean Blue Seafood and Bar, 6600 Stage Road at Kirby Whitten in Bartlett. Take the plunge into Ocean Blue today.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Welcome to Sherwin-Williams.
Hi there. I heard paints are 30% off.
Yep, and stains too.
Right here.
Mm-hmm. Only at your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store.
Right now?
Well, August 29th through September 9th.
Ah, bring it in. I'm a big hugger.
It's cool. Ask Sherwin-Williams August 29th through September 9th and save 30% on paints and stains with sale prices starting at $26.94. Only at your local Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
You love your pets, but you can't take them with you when you travel. So what do you do with Fido and Fluffy? Take them to Pet Suites. Pet Suites Memphis, Germantown, Collierville is now accepting reservations at their gorgeous new facility that accommodates dogs and cats of all ages. Complete with bone-shaped in-ground pools, indoor and outdoor play yards, expert care, and friendly staff. Book now and new customers get 25% off their first service. Pet Suites Memphis, Germantown, Collierville, 4520 South Forest Hill, Irene Road. Pet Suites, your pet's new favorite place.
Fall is all about color. So is Vigoro colored mulch at the Home Depot. Right now at Labor Day savings of 5 bags for just $10. Vigoro is 100% natural shredded wood in 3 beautiful shades. It beautifies your garden while retaining moisture. And at this low price, it also looks great on your budget. Today is the day for doing with Labor Day savings on Vigoro mulch, 5 bags, just $10. Now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Selection varies by store.
Hi, folks. Rob Walker, Infinity of Memphis, and we've got a new Infinity crossover vehicle that has raised the standard of comparison to a new level. Imagine having both sports car performance and eco-friendly efficiency on demand, working together to empower every driving experience. The result of 20 years of engineering, QX50's award-winning variable compression turbo engine is the world's only engine of its kind. Like 2 engines in one, it delivers a combination of power and efficiency that is truly in a category all its own, and only Infinity has it. You'll never sacrifice performance for the sake of efficiency again. And QX50 MSRP starts at only $36,550, which is less than its Acura, Audi, and Mercedes competitors. Add to that QX50's award-winning sumptuous interior, and you have the best combination of performance and comfort in the mid-size crossover segment.
MSRP excludes destination charge, tax, title, license, and options. Infinity of Memphis or online at infinityofmemphis.com.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Let's do it.
And, of course, there are a number of ways to check us out. You can message us at Sports56WHBQ on Facebook, Periscope, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. As Mr. Announcer said, you can hit us up on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255, First Bank text line 67129. Shout out to Brian, who's tuning in from Virginia, the Commonwealth state. Let's go back to the phone lines, and Keith is dialed in. Hi, Keith.
Hey, Greg. Yeah, I want to talk a little about Brady White. I know people are trashing this morning, but I watched that whole game. My face looks like a red lobster to prove it. But anyway, my nose is already peeling, and I'm hoarse, too, from yelling so much. But they just did. Ole Miss defense is way better than people are giving them credit for. They didn't give him many open receivers. He just didn't have them. I mean, and at least he didn't try to force more than he tried that one.
Mm-hmm.
But he also hit a wide open receiver, and he caught it. It would have been a touchdown. He caught it right on the goal line, and that was a deep ball. I bet he threw that from probably I bet it was a 40-yard pass, probably at least.
Yeah, there were a few. I mean, but there was one of his quote-unquote deep balls. He had the guy wide open, and he underthrew it where the guy had to dive to make the catch.
Yeah,
This should have been a touchdown if he gets that to him.
He may have been running backwards. I can't remember that, but I do remember. And he threw another one that was deep, and the guy, he had to come back over the defender's head and try to grab it. Now, Tony Pollard probably would have caught that ball.
But here's the thing, Keith, and your point's well taken. He was under duress a lot. That goes back to a revamped offensive line. They're learning to play together as a unit. They had some issues with cramping. A couple of guys got knocked around physically, but they got back in there. I like the toughness of them. And they played pretty well, especially opening up holes for the running game. But the passing game, you're right. Brady needs more protection. He has to make better decisions, and he's now had a season under his belt. He should be able to do that. But he did underthrow a few receivers.
Yeah, like a time or two, yeah. But I'm telling you, Ole Miss defense is better. I'm telling you, they look good on the field.
They look good at least on Saturday. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate the phone call. You guys can follow up Keith at 360-8255. We got open lines.
Somebody texted in on the First Bank text line, said, do you think Ole Miss is the best defense we will see this year? Probably.
Cincinnati's will be good.
I mean, Cincinnati maybe. I guess you would maybe say is going to be better. But there ain't a whole lot of good defenses in the American Athletic Conference.
Certainly not Houston.
You're missing UCF, who perennial has usually has one of the best defenses. But yeah, I guess Cincinnati would be the other one that you would maybe say would be better. But I mean, I don't think South Alabama or Louisiana Monroe is going to be better than Ole Miss defensively, not talent-wise especially.
And Navy, you should be able to score on Navy. Their defense is always a little bit suspect. Offensively, they look good, albeit against a 1AA Holy Cross in their first game, but trying to bounce back from a bad season last year, and they scored a lot of points. So it was clicking certainly at least for this past weekend for the Naval Cats.
Well, I'll say this, South Alabama, who is supposed to be really, really bad, hung around with Nebraska for a long time.
They did.
So I don't know, because everybody picks them last to that. I mean, everybody thinks they're going to be terrible, and yet somehow they hung without Nebraska. I don't know if you take anything from that, but
everybody's about to anoint Nebraska as the team to beat in the West of the Big Ten because Scott Frost is a great coach. Well, he is, but it doesn't mean that Nebraska is ready to take that step. Now, that doesn't mean why they struggled a little bit and South Alabama hung tough with them. Nebraska may end up going on to have a great year, but I'm not ready to anoint them the best from the West. Not after what Wisconsin did to South Florida. That was one that really, really shocked me. I thought South Florida could actually hang around, and they got obliterated at home.
Somebody else texted in here. I assume I'm going to guess maybe it's an Ole Miss fan. Says Matt Luke needs to go. He's out of his league. Yeah, well, again, we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But as Austin said, I mean, without a chancellor, without an AD, it's hard to do anything. And I don't know what the timetable is because they don't. The whole chancellor thing seems to, because they say they're not going to do the AD until they do the chancellor, and the chancellor thing doesn't seem to be there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of movement there. So I don't know.
And people keep forgetting. I feel like too, Ole Miss fans, and the reason Matt Luke was hired, because it's not like you're going to go out and get anybody else in that situation. So 4 years, $12 million, that's not a bad deal if you're Ole Miss in the situation they were in.
Mississippi State went down to the Mercedes-Benz Dome down in New Orleans, beat Louisiana Lafayette 38-28. Defensively, you saw some issues. Remember, they lost a host of players to the NFL, but Tommy Stevens got his first start. Looked good. 20 of 36, 236, couple of touchdowns. He ran the ball 11 times for 37 yards and a touchdown. good performance by Tommy Stevens, an okay performance by Mississippi State. They got the win, but it wasn't one of those runaway 55-10 jobs. Lafayette hung in there.
Yeah, Kylan Hill, nearly 200 yards rushing. Big game for him to get the season started. But yeah, they certainly, have to figure some things out defensively when you lose the guys, especially up front that they lost. That's going to be an issue. But they at least found a way to get the win. Unlike, as we said, some of these SEC teams.
Georgia rolls over Vandy 30-6. DeAndre Swift with 16 carries for 147 yards. They really didn't need Fromm to do too much in that game. Vanderbilt still plays hard, but they just don't have enough. And offensively, while they have a really good running back, they have the question mark at quarterback. Riley Neal, as expected, got the start, and he was 14-25 for 85 yards.
The crowd was even more in favor of Georgia than I thought. Like
80-20, they said.
Vandy, it seemed like it was more than that. Vandy's home crowd was like a bad road crowd in an SEC game. That place was, it was all Georgia. It felt like that's crazy to see that. Just like that's a team on the road with that much of an advantage in fans.
LSU rolled in their game. We'll talk more about that later on in the Good, Bad, and Ugly.
That was. I'll give them credit. Joe Burrows. That was, again, they're not playing much, but that was a just complete and thorough whooping.
I like LSU. I really do. I like them more than you do. I like them more than Barrett Sallee. We'll see when it's all said and done. But Burrow is playing with, I don't know if he's got a chip on his shoulder. He had a good year last year, really good year, and he has 5 touchdown passes in game number 1. Now, this week, we'll see how good they are. LSU, 4-point favorite on the road at Texas. And Texas is Sam Ehlinger, and he played really, really well. Is this the year, right? The last couple of years we've been asking, is this year for Texas? Well, LSU at Texas, a big one this week. A couple of other games of interest this weekend, and there are a few more than what we had this first weekend, in my opinion. Texas A&M is an 18-point dog at Clemson. And then Army, who barely beat Rice, 14-7, but a lot of people expect Army to be good again, 23.5-point dogs at Michigan. Michigan rolled in their opener.
Yeah, they didn't roll as much as some people thought, but they were okay and knocking off Middle Tennessee State. That Army Rice score surprised me.
Me too.
I would have thought Army would just demolish Rice. Rice is bad, and that was a lot closer than I could have possibly imagined.
Got Notre Dame and Louisville tonight to wrap up week number 1. This is a Louisville team now led by Scott Satterfield, who had so much success at App State, but they just don't have the hosses that they've had in the past. There's no Lamar Jackson, and I can't imagine it's going to be too much of an issue for Ian Book and Notre Dame tonight.
No, you would think they're a big favorite. Louisville, this is a rebuild that they have to undergo. There's no doubt about that. They've got a lot of work to do. So Notre Dame, I would think, would take care of business pretty easily.
Lawn Solutions is a locally owned weed control fertilization company that serves the greater Memphis area. Brandon Holly is the owner of the company. And I got a text. I'm on the sideline working my first game for the Tigers, and I get a text, and it's Brandon. He's up there in the stands watching the game between the Tigers and the Rebels. He's just good people, folks. And if you need your lawn taken care of, you need those weeds gone, call Lawn Solutions at 901-867-5626 or go online to lawnsolutionsinc.net. They'll kill the weeds, get you a greener, more beautiful lawn. They control the germination of weeds all year long. They'll apply the post-emergence right now during the summer months, and then during the winter months, the pre-emergence, they apply them even though your grass is dormant, making sure that the weeds aren't popping up when spring comes. It's a lot easier to prevent the weeds from popping up than it is to kill them, although they can do that if you haven't had your lawn taken care of. They can go out there and take care of it now. They can also take care of any diseases your lawn has or any insect infestation. It's Lawn Solutions, lawnsolutionsinc.net. Call Brandon at 901-867-5626 and tell him I sent you. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and talk a little NFL. A lot of moves that were made as we get ready for week number 1 starting Thursday night. By the way, we'll make our predictions for the season on Thursday. And then we got the good, the bad, and the ugly to get to. More of your calls and texts as well. This is Middays on a Labor Day on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
The Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Need physical therapy but don't know where to go? Tried physical therapy but had a bad experience? Grab your physician's referral and head to Revolution Physical Therapy at the corner of Goodman and Getwell. At Revolution PT, you'll get one-on-one, hands-on therapy. Better and more thorough than just going to the gym. Revolution is locally owned and staffed by neighbors who care about your maximum recovery. And they accept all major insurances. Certified in dry needling, expert in myofascial release. Always relaxed and friendly. Revolution Physical Therapy is just what you need.
Put the Case IH legacy of power and efficiency to work in your hay fields and feedlot. Mid-South Ag Equipment has tough Case IH farm-all tractors that can handle a variety of chores fast. With their expert blend of engine and hydraulic power, farm-all tractors can easily tackle loading and material handling chores, as well as mowing and baling. Models range from 65 to 90 horsepower, so you're sure to find one that's perfectly powered for the jobs you do. Stop in or call 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag Equipment, your Case IH headquarters.
Once upon a time, there was a sleepy bear in search of a place to nap. Like the inside of a car. A coupe? Too small. An SUV? Too big. A station wagon? Just right. But as his eyelids began to get heavy... Covered it. September 30th, 2013. Talk to farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Upon official review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
We deliver jerseys, funny foam fingers, and everything you need to get ready for the game. But what you really get when FedEx knocks on your door is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up. With the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Let's do it.
Matt Luke meeting the media now in Oxford. A couple of things from Luke. Braylon Sanders has a hamstring issue, but that's about it. Not saying much about the injury. He's talking about Arkansas's 1-2 running back punch and Rakeem Boyd and Devois Whaley, but also Chase Hayden. Don't forget him. So they really got 3 that can run the ball. He said he was very pleased to see our defense on how they played. What really showed up was our defensive backs. Also nice to see Luke Knox playing hard. And he said this is a huge game against Arkansas. We have to continue to build offensively in front of our home fans. Maybe just build, not continue. Just build it. I still like Ole Miss this weekend against Arkansas.
I cannot say I like either one of those teams. I will figure that out. But
you are speechless. You are without speech.
It's very hard to at this point say I like either one of those teams in that game.
Being out there on the field on Saturday, got a chance to see a lot of people. Bill Laurie was there. It was good to see run into Willie Harrington and Kevin Kane and Isaac Bruce, and Tony Pollard was there. And speaking of Tony Pollard, the Cowboys getting ready for their opener. The word for the last 48 hours has been that the Cowboys and representatives for Zeke are really getting close. They're intensifying the conversation. But then I heard that there was a hiccup yesterday. So I don't know where we stand, but it looks like Tony Pollard, who was had his game face on Saturday for his rooting for his Tigers, is going to get his first NFL start in his first NFL game.
Yeah, there's a report today that it's not necessarily the money in the deal. It's kind of the structure of the contract that is the issue, and guarantees and certain things based on performance and what guarantees more money, all of that stuff. It's that seems to be the holdup. And apparently the Cowboys felt very good about getting something done, but the response from Zeke's people was not what they expected.
The Texans pretty much redid their team. Good thing they weren't the Hard Knocks team this year. It would have been weird. You have all the Hard Knocks, and all of a sudden you start the season and they're a different team. But Jadeveon Clowney sent to Seattle after he signed. The trade comes through. They get a third-round pick. They get linebacker Jacob Martin. They get a pass rusher in Mingo, the former Gamecock, if I'm not mistaken. LSU, excuse me. So you have Clowney going to Seattle. Not much of a big return in that trade.
Well, they lost the leverage. I mean, they were at a spot, and teams knew they were in a spot that they didn't have any leverage. With him being on the franchise tag for this year, or going to be signing, he hadn't even signed it. He
had to sign it with Seattle, right?
It was just they had no leverage whatsoever in that trade. They were kind of screwed in trying to make that deal, so they lost out.
And I think they still have to pay $7 million of his contract for this year.
There may be some dead cap money from before. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought there was money where they're still paying. So they make that trade, and then they make a trade for Laramie Tunsil, the former Ole Miss Rebel, highly sought after, protection for Deshaun Watson. They get Tunsil, and they get Kenny Stills, a talented, little controversial wide receiver. They give up 2 number ones, a number 2, an offensive tackle by the name of Julian Davenport, and a cornerback named Johnson Batamosi.
Yeah, they were. The talk was that they were trying to get Laramie Tunsil in a Jadeveon Clowney trade. They'd have traded Clowney elsewhere and then still acquire Laramie Tunsil.
Is that because Clowney didn't want to go to Miami?
Yeah, I mean any team that was going to get Clowney had to know he was going to sign the franchise deal and then have a chance at least to sign him after the season. But the Texans are in full go for it mode. They're trying, and they needed protection for Deshaun Watson, and they've been trying to fill that left tackle hole for a long time, and now they go out and get Laramie Tunsil to do that.
Couple of other notes. The Chiefs have acquired LaShawn McCoy, so he reunites with Andy Reid. He was cut by the Bills. 1 year, $4 million deal, $3 million is guaranteed. And the Chargers have said that's it, no more discussion with Melvin Gordon. He was already allowed to seek a deal. Nothing has come of it, and Melvin Gordon right now is in the transfer portal.
Well, I hope he finds a trade, because I did draft him last night for one of my fantasy teams. So I would appreciate it if they could find a trade.
When did you take him?
6th round, 7th round. I can't remember what round it was.
Yeah, take a flyer on Melvin Gordon.
Finally decided I would. He was too good to pass up, hoping that they find a way to. Because I also drafted Austin Eckler, so I'm hoping they trade him. And then I got Eckler and Gordon both. But
Eckler's a good guy to have.
With the Texans making all these trades, I thought maybe the Texans could get involved in a trade there, because they're making all these moves, but they still. I know they went and picked up Carlos Hyde, but the Texans, that running back position is still a big-time issue.
The Indianapolis Colts have signed Brian Hoyer. Remember, Chad Kelly is suspended for the first couple of games, but Hoyer signs a multi-year contract. So he's going to back up Jacoby Brissett. I know they like Chad Kelly. No, most teams don't carry 3 quarterbacks, but we'll see where he ends up, because Kelly's going to be a part of the Colts, but they get Hoyer. I like Hoyer, especially when they were looking at Matt Castle, Brandon Weeden, and Brock Osweiler. I'll take Hoyer, Brian Hoyer, over them any day of the week.
You're a Hoyer guy? You're a Hoyer believer?
I'm an okay Hoyer believer. But they went and got him today. So again, we'll see what happens with Chad Kelly. And Paxton Lynch, as I thought would happen on Friday, was released by the Seahawks. And I got to believe that Paxton Lynch is destined for the XFL.
If he's lucky.
If he's lucky.
I think Paxton Lynch might be heading for
no football.
Hoping he's selling or hoping he took care of his money.
Well, here's the thing with that Seattle backup job against, he was battling Geno Smith. He started out really well, Paxton, really well. And then he got clobbered in that second preseason game, that helmet-to-helmet hit. And the rest, he missed game 3, and then the fourth game was a disaster. He was 1 for 7 for 4 yards, and I knew he was done. Geno Smith had started that game and threw for a couple of touchdown passes. I mean, we wish him well, but I'm going to guess. I don't see any landing spot. But there are a lot of guys that are being picked up, dusted off, and put into a uniform. I mean, Matt Moore. Who was the other one? They got McCown. Who got McCown right out of the ESPN broadcast booth?
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, for backup, these types of things, like teams look for veteran guys who they just kind of know they can trust because they have experience. Paxton Lynch isn't that guy.
Right,
so,
right.
Like it's hard for young guys. You're not going to get that opportunity. So
no, you're absolutely right.
The Eagles, by the way, Greg.
Eagles, thank you.
He's pretty much, I think, I'm not sure he'll get another even shot really at the NFL unless some team has a bunch of guys get hurt or something.
Unfortunately, he's going to be way up there when we look at busts. Unless some miraculous comeback in his career.
I mean,
he's not the number 1 pick overall, but he's still
he's
still a first rounder.
You can find him. There's a ton of quarterbacks.
Well, there are
that have been first round picks that never did anything in the NFL.
No question about it. From Major League Baseball, Justin Verlander. He picked the wrong weekend to throw his third career no-hitter because he didn't get much pub because of the start of college football and the NFL transactions that were made and the start of the season this week. But Verlander and the Astros blanked the Toronto Blue Jays. The only blemish was a walk in the first inning. He struck out 14. So Verlander with 3 no-hitters. I think there's 6, this is off the top of my head, 6 pitchers that have thrown 3 or more no-hitters.
I know there's only 2 that have thrown more. There's only 2 that have more than him.
Nolan and Johnson, right?
No, Nolan and Koufax.
Koufax, okay. How many did Randy throw?
I think he might have 3.
Okay,
I don't know for sure, but
Nolan
I don't know how many.
7.
I don't know how many have 3. I know Koufax and Nolan Ryan are the only 2 that have more. Koufax with 4 and Ryan with his 7.
And a college basketball note: Jalen Green, 2020 top 3 prospect, is expected to visit, according to reports, Oregon, Auburn, Memphis, Kentucky. The Memphis visit, according to reports, scheduled for October 2nd through the 5th. I believe March Madness. Memphis Madness is October 3rd. So I believe that Jalen Green is going to be visiting Memphis during Madness. I believe that's when it will be. Right around that time is when the Madness is, and his visit's the 2nd through the 5th, according to reports. Jalen Green, a guy that Memphis would love to get, and certainly all the teams on that list would love to get. Memphis also made the cut for a junior college player, one of the top junior college players in the country, made his top 10 list. So the recruiting continues, and it continues to be strong for Penny Hardaway. And how about our thoughts and prayers throw out there to the folks in the Bahamas? I mean, the Tigers were just there a couple of weeks ago, and it is being ravished by the hurricane that's rolling right through there. So just a difference of a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And darn hurricanes. It always seems right here around the first week of college football season, there is a hurricane rolling in somewhere.
I did a boxing show in Biloxi, Mississippi on one weekend, and the next week, Katrina hit.
Katrina did some serious damage down there.
Absolutely.
It's been, you don't see it now, you go down there, but man, oh man, there was some serious stuff done.
The casino I did it wasn't the Beau Rivage, it was another one, and it was gone. I mean, it was gone from the hurricane. All right, we are gone for a couple of minutes, but we'll be back with hour number 3. We got the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was. Love to hear more from you folks. First Bank text line 67129. We'll get your calls later on the First Bank phone line or phone lines at 360-8255. And then message us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Facebook, Periscope, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you for spending a little part of your Labor Day with us here on Middays, right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
It's Shaq from Homer Skelton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Millington.
Huge deals going on for Labor Day, and come see us get a great deal. We've got Jeep Wranglers, $7,500 off. Ram, $2,500 and $3,500 trucks, $11,000 off.
Wow.
For you working guys, we are a business link dealer. Bring your vehicle into service. You're not going to be down. We're going to give you something equivalent to what you have so you can get right back on the job site. Find us at Millington at Highway 51 and 385, or find us at HomerSkeltonCDJ.com. Just a bunch of normal guys in the car business, changing lives 4 tires at a time.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up, with the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day, group play, and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
Sunrise on Jefferson is perfect for just about everyone. If you're a busy professional on your way into work, Sunrise is the ideal place to pick up a cup of coffee and a biscuit sandwich. Or maybe you just want to have a casual breakfast meeting away from the office, or you want to grab a classic lunch served fast and fresh. Whether you're going to dine in or carry out, there's really nothing in Memphis that compares to Sunrise. Whatever you're looking for, breakfast or lunch, chances are it can be found at Sunrise on Jefferson.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. If you're in need of a roof, there's no better place to start than Five Ash Roofing. No matter what your situation is, we have you covered. We can walk you through the insurance process without committing fraud like many of my competitors. You'd be surprised how many times salesmen and contractors will manufacture storm damage just so they can get a sale. We do residential, multifamily, and commercial work. We're certified in every form of roofing we offer. Our labor warranties are for the life of the shingle, and we don't charge extra for that. And to my knowledge, there's no other roofing company in Memphis offering that level of security. And if that's not enough, we offer a best price guarantee. We are the official roofer of the University of Memphis Athletic Department and a proud member of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
If you're an outdoorsman and love all things hunting and fishing, be sure to listen to Sports 56 Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. for Outdoors Today. Brought to you by the Gun Store, 6920 Winchester in Memphis. Outdoors Today is a 1-hour show hosted by veteran Mark Tobin and a group of respected outdoor-loving guests. Outdoors Today is dedicated to bringing outdoorsmen tips and techniques and tactics to help with your hunting and fishing in all seasons. Saturday mornings at 6 on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 87.7 and 96.1 FM.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Let's do it.
Welcome back, everybody. We are live today on Labor Day. Hope your holiday is going well. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoie, Austin Eldridge. Hour 3 of the program from the Family Leisure Studios, where family and fun come together. Celebrating the end of summer with the end of summer liquidation sale. Pools as low as $19.99. Patio furniture starting at $12.99. Swim spas beginning at $9.99. There's still enough summer left to enjoy great deals during the end of summer liquidation sale at Family Leisure. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. And, of course, Sports 56 Middays is delivered each and every day by our title and presenting sponsor, FedEx. Streamline your e-commerce business so you can focus on growing sales and strengthening customer relationships. Learn more at fedex.com/e-commerce.
I see so the Jets that hired Hines Ward.
Yes.
Good to see Hines get back on his feet after that whole AAF thing. Wasn't he in charge of the AAF in some way?
He was a big part of the administration. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He gets a gig with the Jets. A lot of coaches.
He went from one failing thing to another.
A lot of coaches have found jobs. Not a lot, but some have found jobs. There were a lot of quarterbacks. Unfortunately, looking at the cuts that were made over the weekend, a number of them were the Alliance quarterbacks.
Tough break for the old Alliance guys.
Hey, there's always the XFL. And right now, it's time for the good, bad, and ugly.
I'm not sure there is for them.
The bad. The ugly.
Why do you say that? You think the caliber of quarterback's going to be a lot different?
I'm not sure they're good enough to make the XFL.
Wait a minute, what's the difference? It's the same thing, basically. The Alliance and the XFL, same thing. They're looking for quarterbacks off the heap strap.
The heap strap? What the hell's a heap strap?
The heap.
The trash heap.
Trash heap. Where'd they get the heap strap from?
I don't know. I don't know.
But that's where they're getting the quarterbacks from. They're getting from the quarterbacks that have been discarded. So it's the same guys.
We will see how many AAF quarterbacks end up in the XFL. I don't know. They may all. I don't know.
Okay.
I saw some of those guys play. I don't think Christian Hackenberg's going to be in the XFL.
I'm not saying Christian Hackenberg. I'm not saying Zach Mettenberger. But there were a couple of guys that were really good that actually did well in training camp with NFL teams.
And the league folded, Greg. You don't have to defend him anymore.
I'm being honest with you. The kid for the Tennessee Titans was good, Logan Woodside. He's not going to beat out Ryan Tannehill or Marcus Mariota. And most teams are only keeping two quarterbacks. Now, some may be on their practice squads. By the way, speaking of practice squads, Nick Fitzgerald from Mississippi State, who's been hurt the entire camp, made the practice squad team of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's pretty good.
Yeah, good for him.
Going to get an NFL paycheck.
Good. Jalen Hurts was pretty good last night. 20 out of 23 through the air, 332 yards. Had 176 rushing yards, 6 total touchdowns. I was wondering exactly kind of what the offense would look like with him because he's a little bit different than the other guys that Lincoln Riley has had. Stands that he's pretty good. Lincoln Riley can pretty much adjust to anybody. I mean, that was impressive. Now, Houston's defense is awful, but that was very impressive what he did last night.
I love Jalen Hurts. I certainly love what Lincoln Riley brings to the table. That offense is tremendous. He had huge numbers. I didn't think Hurts can run the ball like that, but I certainly know he can throw the ball like that. And you're right, Houston's defense is not the best. A little shout-out you have to give on that one to De'Ara King. He still put up some pretty good numbers in a losing effort. 167 yards, 2 touchdowns, 15 rushes, 103 yards and a touchdown. These multi-dimensional quarterbacks having big weekends.
Neither one of you have seen Jalen Hurts' post-game remarks yet?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I was going to say, you got to look those up when you get a chance. It was
Nick Saban-esque.
It just doesn't surprise me because he was at Alabama. He's been on a national championship. Like, he gets it. Like, he's not going to get overly excited about putting up big numbers against a Houston defense in a game that doesn't really matter. Like, he's been trained by Nick Saban, and he knows what the level is to be national championship level.
And while he'll be overshadowed throughout the season by Trevor Lawrence, by Tua Tagovailoa, with Oklahoma expected to be as good as anybody, we'll see what happens in the Big 12 with Texas. And Texas has their first worries, and that's LSU this weekend. He's going to be in the Heisman hunt, and they've got the last 2 Heisman winners. So you're looking at a three-peat possible at Oklahoma. I'm not saying he's going to win, but I didn't think Tua was going to lose it last year, and he got beat out by Kyler Murray. So you go Baker, you go Kyler, Jalen Hurts will be in the mix.
Another transfer quarterback, Justin Fields at Ohio State, got off to a really good start. He had 3 touchdown passes and a touchdown run in the first 8 minutes and 10 seconds of the game. So he had 4 total touchdowns in 8 minutes of his debut at Ohio State. Ends up with 5 total touchdowns in the game, but he looked really good, just like Jalen Hurts did.
Yeah, the Fighting Kiffins had no chance.
Joe Burrow was spectacular against some less than stellar competition, but 23 out of 27, 278, 5 touchdowns all in the first half. When you have more touchdowns than incompletions, that is a good sign. I've been told that's a good sign if you throw more touchdowns than incompletions.
Not too bad.
A coach, way back in the day, a coach told me that. And I don't know if I believe him or not. Bo Nix with that game-winning 26-yard touchdown pass. It would have been interesting. I was wondering, and I think they would have, but it was a dangerous pass because if the guy had gotten tackled there at the 2-yard line, I think with the fact the clock would have stopped to the first down, all that stuff, they get up there and they have time to get another play off. But it is a somewhat of a dangerous play there.
No question.
But the fact that it looked just like his dad's touchdown pass was like almost freakish.
What did you think about the fact that Gus is back to calling the plays? I mean, for a while there, the offense sputtered. They had the kid, and then the kid makes a huge play, and now it looks like he's magical again, Gus.
Well, this is if you feel like, hey, like my job's kind of on the line, like you're in that moment, you say, yo, I'm going to take control of this. And if they, especially with Kenny Dillingham coming in now, maybe after a year or something, if it works out everything, then maybe with Kenny Dillingham being around him for a year, he could say, all right, now you could take over because you see what I want to do, what we're trying to do. But right now, I think Gus understands, like, I need to take control of my fate right now.
Think about the confidence this kid has now. He just beat Oregon and come from behind fashion. And that's the only question mark on this Auburn team. This Auburn team is stacked, and they're one of 3 or 4 stacked teams in the West of the SEC. So all the demise about the SEC because the bottom-tier team struggled, they still have a lot of teams up there at the top.
The give it up for Mac Brown. Makes his return and gets that win over South Carolina. 15-0 they outscore them in the fourth quarter to get the win. South Carolina, just a disastrous collapse. I'm not sure how you let that happen. But maybe Mac's just that good. I don't know. Maybe he has the formula.
Didn't Herm win in his return last year, the first game? It was a big to-do. I'm not sure who they played, but
yeah, I think he did. But I don't think it was against anybody good. Certainly don't think they were the underdog, a double-digit underdog like North Carolina was.
Look, I appreciate Mac Brown. He's been a terrific coach, but this one's all on Muschamp and South Carolina. They had this game in control and let it slip away.
It may just turn out that Will Muschamp's not a very good head coach, which we actually kind of knew. Anyway, but nonetheless, he may just not be a very good head coach. From the world of baseball, I mentioned Justin Verlander with the no-hitter. Second time he's no-hit Toronto in his career, so Toronto does not like seeing Justin Verlander, that's for sure. The Minnesota Twins, who on Saturday hit home run number 268 on the year, breaking the Major League Baseball record for home runs in a season. So they got it done before the end of August. Set the single-season record for home runs, and they did it before the end of August, beating the Yankees from last year.
Right, unless you follow baseball very closely, if you ask somebody that question, was a sports fan, who's now the home, you would never say Minnesota. As good as they are this year, you just don't think about that unless you really follow them, that they have all these home run hitters. But you would guess the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Red Sox, so many home runs being hit. But the Minnesota Twins, numero uno.
And, they have a chance. I mean, I don't even know what that number can get to with a whole month remaining in the season for them. It's insane. And then I also want to give a good to Carlos Carrasco of the Cleveland Indians, who made his return from leukemia yesterday, pitched an inning in relief against Tampa Bay. Did give up a run, but it didn't matter. And the way the fans cheered, both teams cheered, just really cool. I mean, the guy was diagnosed in June, and here in beginning of September, he's back out there pitching. Just really cool, really great to see him back out there on the field again.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of my goods as well. I'll get to the baseball in a second, but I'll start off with college football. And I'll start off with the Tigers. We've been talking, obviously, a lot about them. And the defense. We had Adam Fuller on the show earlier today, their defensive coordinator. Just a stellar defensive performance, just out of nowhere. Nobody in their right mind would have thought that would be a 25-point game total 25 points, 15-10, but it was, and the Tigers got the win. Bryce Huff, named the American Conference Defensive Player of the Week, had the big safety on Matt Corral. And Mike Norvell, gambling 5 times on fourth down, and he was successful 60% of the time, so 3 out of 5. That big one on the shovel pass in the fourth quarter, for all intents and purposes, sealed the deal. So A lot of good from the Tigers. Tommy Stevens in his first game for Mississippi State, 20 of 30, 236, 2 touchdowns, 11 rushes, 37 yards, and a touchdown. Mississippi State didn't overwhelm Louisiana Lafayette, but they won by 10 at the Mercedes-Benz Dome in New Orleans. Auburn and their rally to win 27-21, and the Bo Nix touchdown pass with 9 seconds left, and that's something he'll remember for his life. But this is his first start, so maybe off to what should be a tremendous career. He looked shaky there early, but he made the play in the end. You talked about Jalen Hurts' performance, just incredible in his first game for Oklahoma with nearly 500 yards of total offense. Hey, Tua wasn't too shabby either for Alabama. How about 26 of 31, 336, 4 touchdowns as Bama rolled Duke. And Justin Fields, I echo your sentiments. 4 touchdowns overall, a rushing touchdown. Ohio State beat the Fightin' Kiffins. I don't know where to put this one, Eli. I don't know if I put it in good or just like peculiar, but we don't have a peculiar category. Hugh Freeze, coaching from the hospital bed in Lynchburg. The hospital bed's moved up into the press box somehow, and he's coaching. Now, Liberty did not do much. They got beat by Syracuse. I think the final was, 24-0. But that was strange.
It's. I have it as bad. It could be ugly.
I didn't know where to put it.
It's.
I put good for like the effort. He made the effort, but it was just.
It was very.
It took away from
everything.
everything.
In my opinion, it was very Hugh Freeze. But I mean, the whole.
By the way, we're efforting to get Hugh on the show.
The whole scene after the. Well, maybe he'll talk to us from the bed. The scene after the game with Dino Babers and the thumbs up. I mean, this was.
It was the whole Iowa. Was it Iowa? Is that right? It's Iowa that has the hospital.
This show was. That is just way too much. Just if you have to listen, I feel bad for him. That's awful what he's had to go through with the staph infection, all that stuff. But if you're gonna lay in a hospital bed, he's giving a pregame speech on a video from a hospital bed. He's doing interviews from a hospital bed.
It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. No, it really was.
That's so over the top.
Iowa's the school that has the hospital, right?
Yes.
Okay, that was weird, man. Like everybody on Twitter now doing the old like. The team looking up, and it's you giving the thumbs up.
That was so ridiculous.
Oh, my gosh. All right, some other goods here. And, again, I didn't know where to put that one. Jacob Eason, the former Georgia Bulldog, tremendous for Washington. 27 of 36, 349, and 4 touchdowns as Washington rolls Eastern Washington. Joe Burrow, we talked about him earlier with his 5 touchdowns for LSU. Sam Ehlinger, 28 of 38, 276, and 4 touchdowns for Texas in their win over Louisiana Tech. I give a good, should be a great, to Nevada freshman kicker Brandon Talton, who kicked that 56-yard field goal as time expired to give Nevada a 34-31 win over Purdue. And then subsequently, he was awarded with a scholarship. How about that kick from that kid?
Hey, if it earns you a scholarship, that's a hell of a kick.
I give a good to Arkansas State wide receiver Omar Bayless in a losing cause to SMU, 37-30 in Jonesboro. All Bayless did was catch 10 passes for 132 yards and 4 touchdowns. Shane Buechele, the starting quarterback for SMU, the Texas transfer, 30 of 49 for 360. I give a good to Anthony Gordon, 29 of 35, 420 and 5 touchdowns for Mike Leach's Washington State Cougars and their big win, or romp, I should say, over New Mexico State. I give a good to the Twins, as you mentioned, for the setting the all-time record for home runs in the season, and Carlos Carrasco, the amazing comeback on the mound after being diagnosed with leukemia back in June. Justin Verlander, we talked about him earlier, his 3rd career no-hitter. And I give a good to the whole scene at the U.S. Open with Coco Gauff and Naomi Osaka. Osaka, the number 1 player in the world, the defending champion, as she was being, after beating Coco Gauff, out there and being interviewed, and made sure that Coco Gauff was part of the interview. They got a great camaraderie. They're friends. And that was a really nice scene in tennis.
Yeah, that was really cool. Somebody had texted in and said, give a good to Coco, the tennis player, by the press conference. But I think that was handled extremely well all the way around. I thought that was a really cool scene from what they did.
I thought it was great. All right, what do you got for bads?
Bads. Obviously, Tennessee on that. Anytime you pay a team $950,000 to come in and beat you, that's a bad thing. Missouri, they would be on that list as well, although they didn't have to pay $950,000. They went on the road to take their loss. 537 total yards. They outpassed Wyoming 423 to 92, and yet lose the game because they give up 3 turnovers and 297 rushing yards to Wyoming. New Mexico coach Bob Davie had to be taken to the hospital after their win over Sam Houston State. He released a statement saying he expects a full recovery. Now, interestingly enough, they're off this week. The next game is a week for Saturday at Notre Dame, where, of course, Bob Davies was once the coach. So I don't know, still don't know if he's going to be able to coach there at Notre Dame or not. Maybe he'll do it from a hospital bed, though.
Well, it was really serious, man. Everything I was reading was like it is a very, very serious situation for Bob Davie, but I'm glad that everything, according to reports, and including to Bob Davie himself, is going to be fine. Everything will be okay.
Florida State and Willie Taggart, yikes, blows a 31-13 lead versus Boise State. They were outscored 17-0 in the second half, gave up 621 total yards in the game. And this was interesting. I saw one of the guys that covers Florida State tweeting about this. They did not have a full-time defensive coach upstairs in the press box. Only GAs in the press box.
I heard that, and then they also brought up LSU did that in a game, in a big game, and they lost the game. You have to have defensive personnel other than GAs up in the press box. I mean, not in the press box, up in the coaches' boxes, because they have that view that's so different than the view you have on the field. That is absolutely ridiculous. By the way, I'm not talking about the guy personally, Eli. I've just never had faith in Willie Taggart. And I know he's had some good seasons.
I know some coordinators want to be on the field, other coordinators want to be upstairs. Well, that's fine. I don't care. I know Mike McIntyre actually talked about today, said he's going to stay up in the box because he just likes the view from up there. He feels more comfortable, all of that stuff for Ole Miss. Whatever, wherever your coordinator wants to be. But how do you not have at least one position coach who you would put up in the box as your eyes upstairs if you're a coordinator that wants to be down on the field?
Right.
To only rely on GAs seems weird. And when you give up 621 yards, I'm going to guess that changes for this week. I'm just going to go out on a limb, say that changes for this week, but that's just my guess on that. I mentioned the Hugh Freeze. I feel bad for the guy, but come on, man, that's a little over the top. From baseball, I give a bad to my Cubs. They go to New York and actually win on the road. They beat Stroman, Syndergaard, and DeGrom. They come home, they put up 7 runs up on the Brewers in the first game of the series at home, and then they get shut out 2 straight days. It's just, I can't figure them out.
Look, that's your team. I'm just watching it from afar. But
the Brewers are terrible pitching.
I know, and I'm surprised anytime the Cubs are shut out.
I'm not surprised because they're not very good hitting a lot of the time, but
you're surprised when it's against the Brewers staff.
The Brewers staff has been awful since the All-Star break, and they can't score a single run in 2 days. And then I give a final bad to my guy A-Rod. Last night he came with another beauty.
Did it again, huh?
This wasn't, when I was a young kid watching Allen Iverson play against the Miami Heat. I'll never forget that one. That was a beauty. But last night A-Rod came with this one. You always want an even lead versus an odd lead. Why? Because a solo home run doesn't tie you and a grand slam doesn't beat you.
So that 2-run lead, man, give up the grand slam, you're still winning.
You're fine because it was an even number. That's literally the quote. You always want, because they were up by 1. Who was the Phillies last night? Phillies?
Yeah, Phillies and Mets.
And they like a bunt to get a guy to third. He said, I love it. They're trying to get that even lead. So you always want an even lead versus the odd lead. And why? Because a solo home run doesn't tie you and a grand slam doesn't beat you.
He's turning into Yogi Berra, except Yogi Berra, I don't know if he was playing around.
But Yogi Berra's quotes make sense.
They make sense. They're said in a strange way. But
yeah, it's like you have to think about it, but you go, oh, well, he's like right. Like there's a point to it. What? I mean, literally, the man said, because if you have an even number lead, a grand slam doesn't beat you. Does he forget the two's an even number? How does like according to Alex, I guess you'd rather be up 2 than 3. Yeah, because it's an even number rather than an odd number.
Yeah, he jumped 1 to 4 or something. I don't know. I look, the mind of A-Rod, it's a terrible thing to waste. So I
would love to see it wasted. Like out of the broadcast.
I'm being facetious. Any more? That was a good one.
That's it.
My bad. Of course, the Vols. We've talked a lot about. It's just how many Vols fans after one game are jumping off the bandwagon. Of course, some of them had to jump off the ship.
Yeah, there was
the boat in the.
I'm not sure how many had to jump off the boat, but they probably wish they would have just went down with it.
So the loss, 38-30. They were 25-point favorites. First loss in a home season opener since 1983 for the Vols. That's 36 years ago. Largest loss by an SEC team in the last 40 seasons when favored by 25-plus points. Let me say that again. Largest loss by an SEC team in the last 40 seasons when favored by 25-plus points.
Well, Georgia State is they're not a good Sun Belt team. They're picked towards the bottom of their division in the Sun Belt. It's not like this was a team that everybody's like, oh, yeah, they're clearly the best team in the Sun Belt. Like, they're legit. This is a bad, by everybody's picks, a bad Sun Belt team came into Neyland Stadium and beat them.
Right.
It was a rough weekend for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl folks.
Poor Harold.
Harold may be dressed in black when he shows up on Thursday because it did not go well for them.
The whole Florida State thing you talked about, blowing the 18-point lead. Boise State rallies. Give Boise State credit, 36-31. It's not Boise of old, but who knows? Maybe they're building that way. Brian Harsin has done a great job. Hank Bachmeier, 30 of 51, 407, a touchdown and a pick.
Every time I hear the name Hank Bachmeier, I think of Brockmeier.
Right.
I cannot, for the
Hank, what's his name, Azaria?
Yeah, it's every time I hear that name, all I can think of is Brockmeier. It will not change ever.
And don't you have to say it like Hank Bachmeier? You have to say it.
It is the most non-football player sounding name maybe ever. Bachmeier just does not sound like a quarterback of a football team.
No, he sounds like an offensive lineman for Wisconsin, but he does not sound like a quarterback. You're absolutely right. I give a bad to USF. I said this earlier. Look, I didn't expect them to beat Wisconsin. I expected them to score some points. Blake Barnett's their quarterback, hanging there a little bit. They lost 49-0. A bad. This is a terrible for our friend Clay Helton. They win. They beat Fresno State, and they lose starting quarterback JT Daniels for the season with a torn ACL.
Yeah, that was my ugly, man. That's the question here now, will Jack Sears just spin right back out of the transfer portal onto into the starting quarterback role for USC?
Can you complete the spin?
I think you can.
Can you go 360?
I don't. He has not been spit out elsewhere, so does he spin right back in there and maybe become the starting quarterback at USC? I don't know. That's brutal for Clay Helton because their schedule is rough. Good that they got that win, but they got a rough schedule coming up, and now no JT Daniels. It could get ugly.
The South Carolina losing the 20-9 lead to North Carolina in Charlotte, blowing that game. Missouri, we talked about the game at Wyoming, 37-31 defensively. They did not appear in that game. I know there's the altitude and all that stuff, but no excuses. You got to win that game. Virginia Tech. And I don't know what the expectations are for Justin Fuente's team this year, but I never think Boston College is good. So anytime you lose to BC, even at Boston College, I think it's a bad loss, 35-28. So I'm going to put it as a bad for Virginia Tech. I give a bad to the whole deal with Novak Djokovic at the U.S. Open last night. He's trailing 2-0. He's losing in the third set, and he ends up withdrawing with a shoulder injury, and the fans boo him.
Yeah, they were not happy.
It was like an Andrew Luck thing going on with Novak Djokovic.
Not happy with the Joker.
And then also...
Apparently you just got to go out there, whether you're hurt or not, and just keep playing for the fans.
As we talked about, Jadeveon Clowney, it's a $7 million hit for the Texans but they were forced into it, as you said. They really had no leverage. So they're paying Clowney $7 million not to play for them, and Matt Khalil $2.5 million not to play for them. And finally, I give a bad. I'm caught up in the whole Hard Knocks thing. Keelan Doss for the Raiders. Every week I watch Hard Knocks. All you hear is like everybody glowingly talk about this receiver who was undrafted, and especially John Gruden, and they cut him. So I'm sure we'll see that tomorrow night on Hard Knocks, but I thought that guy was definitely going to make the team. He caught everything they threw him in the preseason game, so maybe he'll catch on with another team.
They have 4 quarterbacks on the roster, though.
That's right. So they've added now Deshaun Kaiser. They still have Mike Lennon. They still have Nathan Peterman, Gruden's favorite, and then, of course, the starter Derek Carr. So they're going to have to get rid of minimum 1.
There's some collection of XFL talent right there. They have assembled at the quarterback position out there in Oakland.
All right. So my uglies real quick were Bob Davey, and you talked about that. And yours was what?
The JT Daniels interview.
JT Daniels. Okay, there's 2 other things that we have to bring up. One is the news about Tyler Skaggs. The Angels pitcher, they did the autopsy, and they found that he had opioid, and not only the autopsy, but they do takes a couple of weeks to get all the information from the blood system and
toxicology.
Thank you very much. Toxicology.
These big words.
He does answer. He answers my sentences. No, I couldn't remember.
I know your Maryland education could not get words like that, but I got you. The SIUE education.
By the way, did you notice I did not bring up Maryland's 79-0 win over Howard because I am not impressed. I do not like Mike Loxley. They will win 3 games.
I did think it was cool that they scored 79 points after the kid that died wore number 79.
That was
cool. An interesting little tidbit.
Penn State also scored 79. I don't think they did it for that reason. But Tyler Skaggs, they found opioids and alcohol in his system when he died. And now the family of Tyler Skaggs is investigating. They have a private investigator that's looking into the possibility he was given this stuff by somebody in the Angels organization. Now, it doesn't take him off the hook for taking the stuff, but...
Yeah, they say that, that's going to be an interesting battle and going forward.
Extremely sad story, though. Such a young guy, just got married last year.
Well, it's horrible, and then you read this and you go, oh, my gosh. And then finally, I don't know where to put this one. Maybe the stupid category. The Jackson State mascot got flagged for
that was hilarious.
What? Wait a minute. Awesome. So he's over there. They're piling up. He's trying to get people off the pile. They give him a 15. Jackson State a 15-yard penalty because of the mascot.
Well, I think the problem was he came onto the field, and I guess it's the same thing as a fan coming onto the field. I guess is what they consider that.
He's
I don't know.
The mascot, for goodness' sake.
He was getting involved. Like they were.
Like he was in the scrum.
They were trying to figure out who actually made the catch, and he's down there like trying to pull guys off of there. You can't. They didn't even finish the play really yet, and he's out there trying to pull guys off the pile.
Throw him out of the game, not a 15-yard penalty. Oh,
but
gosh.
His dance afterwards was hilarious. Like he just loved it. Like, dude, you just got your team a 15-yard penalty. I'm not sure you should be dancing around and celebrating it right now. It's probably
I don't
not
think it hurt him
well.
too bad. I think Bethune won the game by like 21 points or something like that.
No, he's the Jackson State, right?
Yeah, Jackson State lost that game by like 21, I think.
Yeah, it didn't. Oh, you're saying
I don't think it hurt him any. The 15-yard penalty. I don't think it hurt him too bad.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Maybe they just never recovered from
the antics of the
penalty
mascot
given to their mascot.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We got 30 minutes left in the show, so we'd love to hear from you. First Bank text line 67129. First Bank phone lines 360-8255, or message us at Sports56 WHBQ on Facebook, Periscope, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Anything that we've talked about today, mainly college football, some NFL as well. We'd love to hear from you here on this Labor Day Monday. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Sports 56 now has 2 FM homes. You can now find Real Sports Talk on 96.1 as well as 87.7 on your FM dial.
This is what Flo from Progressive sounds like in one of our commercials. You may have seen one. They're on TV occasionally.
And speaking of motorcycle insurance rates, did you know that our basic motorcycle policies start at just $75 a year? And speaking of insurance, I just love...
And this is how that same commercial sounds on your motorcycle. Yeah, everything's better on a bike. Progressive keeps you on yours. Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy not available in all states.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up. with the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
You love your pets, but you can't take them with you when you travel. So what do you do with Fido and Fluffy? Take them to Pet Suites. Pet Suites Memphis, Germantown, Collierville is now accepting reservations at their gorgeous new facility that accommodates dogs and cats of all ages. Complete with bone-shaped in-ground pools, indoor and outdoor play yards, expert care, and friendly staff. Book now and new customers get 25% off their first service. Pet Suites Memphis, Germantown, Collierville. 4520 South Forest Hill, Irene Road. Pet Suites, your pet's new favorite place.
Football is here.
I know. I have a sports talk radio show.
Why do you always have to throw that in my face?
Because it's fun. Now, let's get down to the Central Barbecue ad.
We're talking the incredible bulk.
I have no idea what that means.
Tailgating in Central Barbecue means this is the time for bulk ordering.
Oh, I get it. Incredible bulk.
Yes, you call ahead and order enough delicious Central Barbecue food to feed your entire tailgating crew. Central Barbecue is your one-stop shopping destination for all your chowing down needs.
And with all their locations.
Central Avenue, Summer Avenue, downtown, or the shiny new location on Poplar.
There's a Central Barbecue central to wherever Memphians are.
Nice line.
Introducing Top Tracer Range, the new ball tracking and gaming system at Golf and Games Family Park. Top Tracer gathers data such as distance, carry, ball speed, and more. Compete against friends in a points game, long drive, and virtual golf at courses such as Pebble Beach and St. Andrews. Golf and Games Family Park is a great setting for group and company outings, golf lessons, or individual practice. Experience fun, friends, family, and introducing Top Tracer Range, the new ball tracking and gaming system at Golf and Games Family Park, 5484 Summer Avenue.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Lemon Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Lemon Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemonbrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Mike Norvell now meeting the media, has been for the last 20 minutes or so, and talking about some of his injured players. Hasn't really given a status on the players that got banged up a little bit over the weekend. A number of the players cramped because of the heat, but he did confirm both Everett Cunningham and Keith Brown could be available Saturday to play. No new update on Chris Claybrooks, who did not play in Game 1, had a terrific camp, and certainly the team hoping he'll get better and be ready to play, because I think that guy will add to that secondary, no question about it.
Some news from Mississippi State that Keaton Thompson is back.
So you can do a 360.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Sears does the same thing. They said somebody said that he's number 2 on the depth chart for this week. Moorhead's going to have his media availability coming up here in just a little bit, so maybe we'll get more from him on that. But yeah, apparently he's on the depth chart for this week. So Keaton is back, baby.
That's pretty wild. Let's go to the phone lines. First Bank phone lines. Wayne is dialed in. Hi, Wayne.
Hey, top of the day to you, fellas.
You too.
Hey, Wayne.
Hey, guys. I'll tell you what Brady White's good at. He's good at running Mike Norvell's system. You know, to start the game after we traded punts there a couple series, Memphis put together a 13-play, 74-yard drive that ate up 6 minutes on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And the longest pass they threw on that drive, I think, was 10 yards, but they had 6 yards here, 8 yards there, and that's Mike's system to get that ball out there. And it don't take but missing beating one tackler to turn an 8-yard dink into a 25-yard gain, you know. So you were getting good leadership from him there. After that, Mike took, of course, you can count on one hand how many times he went downfield deep. I recall one play, Greg. It was on one of those drives that we saw on the fourth down try, but we were on like the 45 of Ole Miss, and Memphis took a shot downfield, and our receiver was wide open at about the 10-yard line. Brady just overthrew him by about 2 yards. So that's a young offense learning to play together. And it's good to see that defense win the game for us the way they did. But Brady's good. You're getting senior leadership from him, and that's what's going to give the Tigers a good season.
Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate that. The pass that Wayne is alluding to was the pass where he overthrew Sean Dykes, which would have been called back because of the illegal formation. But that was a combination of him throwing it a little bit too tall for Dykes. But Dykes coming off an injury is not 100%. And I was right down on the field watching. It looked like he pulled up a little bit on it too. So it was a kind of a combination thing. But either way, it would have been called back because of the penalty. As far as him running the system, he's absolutely right. He is a really good system quarterback for what Mike wants to do. He's a very cerebral quarterback. He's very intelligent, although there were a couple of decisions he made were not good decisions. So he had some first-game issues. He will get better. There's no question. But if you want this down-the-field bombardier, this isn't Darryl LaMonica, ladies and gentlemen. This is not going to happen. That's not in their DNA. They'll take a couple of shots when need be, but most of the things that they're going to do, misdirection, quick hitters, use that running attack, and that offensive line also will grow as well, as they had some good things and certainly some things that they struggled with a little bit in their first game together.
Waited to get a text that said, guys, I'm not a Brady White fan. I recorded the game and watched it later. We have to give Brady a pass. He was under complete duress the entire game. There was some pressure on him. Again, I get it, everybody. I get the side that says they'd like to see more downfield passing, but that's just not what he's going to do. And Mike Norvell knows that's not what he's good at. So Mike Norvell is going to cater the system to what Brady White does well, and so this is what you're left with. Again, his numbers from last week or last season were really good. Saturday, they got a win over Ole Miss. It's weird how much criticism Brady White takes for winning.
And again, with this revamped offensive line, something that we talked about all summer long leading up to this game, Gabe Kuhn, of course, who starred on the offensive line for the University of Memphis, is one of our producers. He'll be with Johnny Radio coming up next. So, Gabe, what did you think? What was your evaluation of their performance when we know there was some cramping? They were beat up a little bit, but overall, what did you think of their performance?
It was weird. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, to be honest. You have a good defense who held a SEC opponent to 10 points. Granted, that SEC opponent couldn't play offense at all. But you look at what Brady White did, you look at that offense, and there's got to be concern. I'm sorry. I know he won. I know he, was able to pull out a win, but that was ugly. That was very, very ugly. Thank God that you have a guy like Kenny Gainwell to be able to help Patrick take some of the load, because he ran the ball 27 times.
Yeah, that was surprising that there was 27 carries, and that's you. Now, again, it's Ole Miss, and you're trying to make sure you get that win. I would assume this week against Southern, a much lighter workload, but yeah, you don't want to be giving a guy 27 carries a game.
May I say this? 46 carries, they only attempted 31 passes. That is way too skewed for an offense run by Mike Norvell.
Did Ole Miss take away anything from down the field passing with their secondary? Did the defensive front from Ole Miss take away the passing game other than the short passes, the flanker screens, and things of that nature? What did you see from what Ole Miss brought to the table compared to what Memphis normally does with that offense?
I think Ole Miss played some good defense. I really do. But it concerns you because they basically bowed up as much as they could against the run and tried to make Brady White beat him. And I guess he did. I mean, theoretically, kind of. But
he did enough.
Yeah, he did just enough to get by.
So you have some concerns.
I have a lot of concerns.
There's no doubt there has to be concerns. I mean, there's plenty to be concerned about coming out of it. But it's better to be Memphis and have plenty of concerns at 1-0 than be Ole Miss with plenty of concerns at 0-1.
Absolutely, no question.
Here's the tough thing too. How good is Ole Miss's defense after being as bad as they were last year from one game, from one example? How good is it? Because if they are really good, how many defenses will Memphis face that are going to be that good? And it's still amazing to think that they could turn it around that quickly with Mike McIntyre's a miracle worker if that's what we're going to see from Ole Miss all year. But, of course, they're going to go up against Alabama, and they're going to go up against LSU. But if Memphis is indeed playing one of the better defenses, then that's at least a good news scenario. Because if not, you're going to still have to play Cincinnati. You're going to still have to play some tough defenses in the league. But you're going to have to outscore teams, too.
And one of the teams that definitely concerns me down the road, actually two teams, Temple and Tulane. Those are two teams that can play really good defense. And they played offense at a pretty high level in their first week. Obviously, opponents, it wasn't quite to Memphis's, stature as far as opponent goes. But you got to just wonder if Adam Fuller can keep this up with this defense.
See, I still wonder for both defenses.
Thank you, Gabe. Appreciate
how much of it was how much is it improvement from the defenses, or how much of it was just not very good offense?
It's a fair question. I mean, they ran the ball well. So if we're going to break down Memphis's offense, running the ball was good. They ran the ball well. You get a couple hundred yards rushing, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but they averaged less than 4 a carry.
Yeah, there was
I mean, that's the thing.
Gainwell has some ability to break away, but you're missing those big.
I mean, they put it like it was just a bunch of carry. I mean, they don't want to be under 4 yards a carry.
No, but last year was like give the ball to Henderson. Oh, he's gone for 80 yards. I mean, Henderson was a third-round pick of the Rams. It's not easy to replace. They can say all they want about, well, here's Gainwell and Watkins and Taylor and Rodriguez-Clark and all these guys waiting in the wing. You don't replace NFL guys that easily. You mentioned Anthony Miller. DeMonte Coxey's good. Anthony Miller is an NFL receiver, and Coxey may make the NFL as well, but Anthony Miller showed in his rookie year that he could be a really talented go-to type receiver. So you don't replace those guys that easily. This isn't Alabama. It's not a factory. So there's going to be some hits taken. But remember, it is game one. It's game one. Let's see how much better the offensive line is in game two. Let's see how much better the offensive scheme is. Now, they're going to play Southern University, okay, with all due respect. It's not an SEC team. It's not an SEC defense. They're going to show a little bit more. They're going to throw the ball down the field. I wouldn't be surprised if Brady throws 4 touchdown passes and everybody's kind of calmed down a little bit. But again, your opponent's going to make a difference in how well you play or how well you don't play. But the thing is, he won. He led the team, and they won the game, and they beat Ole Miss. And that's all that's important. As Mike Norvell said, we go way back to earlier in the show. It doesn't matter if they win by a point or 30 points. They don't care. They don't care about the spread.
And again, I mean, I've said it many times. I always believe the first game of the season is going to be a bit ugly, and this was ugly. Most of the games around the country, if you looked at the first games, a lot of teams are ugly.
Yep.
Because they just, you just cannot get ready when you're just playing yourself.
No, that's a great point.
I still believe there needs to be an exhibition game or something allowed in football for these teams to better prepare themselves, because there's too much on the line for too many teams in week one to not have a chance to get better prepared.
You mentioned the Raiders with 4 quarterbacks, now down to 3. Nathan Peterman placed on injured reserve, so he's going to be a part of the team, but he is injured to start the season. And Osaka has lost after the whole deal with Coco Gauff the other night. She loses in the round of 4. The number 1 seed is out at the U.S. Open. We will take a break. One final break. We'll come back with one final thing and put a wrap on this Monday edition, this Labor Day edition of Middays, right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Looking good and feeling good? You've been to Rooster's Men's Grooming, the all-American classic barbershop. Whether boy or man, sportster or professional, when service matters, Rooster's is the choice for all gentlemen. Rooster's Men's Grooming offers a full-service shave, precision haircuts, and more, all with top-of-the-line products and a truly professional atmosphere. They even remember your name and offer you a beer. When looking good and feeling good matters, relax and unwind at Rooster's Men's Grooming, Paragon Place, 6300 Poplar.
The Memphis Tigers football team hosts Southern Saturday, September 7th at 11 a.m. This will be the annual Kroger game, where fans can purchase $10 game tickets at all area Kroger stores. A portion of the proceeds go to the Mid-South Food Bank in support of stamping out hunger in the region. Head coach Mike Norvell and the Memphis football team boast one of the nation's most explosive offenses, so you don't want to miss a single play. Memphis versus Southern, Saturday, September 7th at 11 a.m. Get your $10 tickets at area Kroger stores today. Stripe up.
If you're the owner of a company and you're tired of a dirty office building, or maybe you're tired of dirty restrooms, or floors and carpets that are filthy, or windows that you can't even see through, I've got a solution. Let Trinity be your cleaning solution. Trinity Professional Services. They're putting professionalism back in cleaning. They specialize in stripping and waxing and buffing floors, in cleaning carpet. Just make it seem like it's spring outside. Window cleaning where you see through and everything shines. Commercial janitorial services specializing in final construction cleaning. Hey, the people that own this company, they are big construction people. They know what needs to be done. So if you would like it done the right way, call Todd Pope or Tommy Ferrari, the former Tiger quarterback, at 833-6773. 833-6773. It's Trinity. They're your cleaning solution.
Are you tired of all the clouds and bad weather? Rain brings pollutants that can wreak havoc on your car's finish, but there is someone who can help. Car Wash USA Express has introduced their most advanced car wash yet with the exclusive Polymer Pro Wash, creating a stronger, more consistent protective sealant for your car's finish. Polymer Pro can only be found at Car Wash USA Express, where attendants are always on duty to keep you and your vehicle safe. For more information and locations, visit carwashusaexpress.com. Car Wash USA Express, because a dirty car is a dirty shame.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Let's do it.
Welcome back, everybody. Final segment here on Sports 56 Middays. Johnny Radio's Happy Hour to follow. And then Sports Time with Wolo and Stats are all new today. We're working, baby. We're working on this Labor Day, but certainly we hope you're enjoying the holiday Monday and getting that extra day off and get ready for the work week starting tomorrow for you guys. But our work week started at 10 o'clock, and it's been a fun show talking about everything that's happened in the world of sports, especially college football, with one more game left in week one, tonight's Notre Dame and Louisville battle.
Somebody had texted on the first big text line talking about the Ole Miss Memphis, and they said, I'm surprised there were no heat strokes on the field. It was hot, but I didn't think it was crazy.
Well, as hot as it could have been.
I wasn't sitting out there in the sun for 3.5 hours, but like before the game, being out there and stuff, and then when I went down on the field at the end of the game, I didn't think. I mean, it was hot, but like the UCLA game was way hotter.
I worked the sideline for this game. I didn't for any other. So this is the first. Well, I worked Houston game last year, but this was my first in the oppressive heat, and I was fine. It was hot.
Both of these teams have played in much hotter weather.
It was a lot hotter yesterday than it was Saturday. Now, the humidity was down a little bit. The temperature was not in the 90s. The sun was shining. It was a high sky, no question about it. And for players, certainly, you have to make sure you hydrate. But for the most part, I thought, and this is me, I'm pressing 60 years old. I'm down there on the sideline for over 4 hours. With pregame and all that stuff like that, and I was okay. I wasn't playing football, but still, I thought it was not as bad as it could have been.
Well, yeah, and certainly if you're a player, like it's hot. I don't care. I mean, it can be 70 degrees. It's hot for them. Yeah. It's just because you're out there playing football with a lot of pads and everything else on.
And the field turf's always hotter. It's always a lot warmer than it is with natural grass.
But no, I did. Yeah, I thought it was comfortable. And
relatively speaking, yes.
I didn't hear of any. They didn't run out of water or anything. So
somebody texted and said, "Oh, I think they ran out of ice and or water in one of the." I didn't hear anything other than that one person's text, and I'm not sure if there's any legitimacy to it.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, yeah, I guess maybe there is, but yeah, I did not hear of anything. Got another text there that says, I watched the Big Three. Rodney Carney looked good. He still has it. Rodney Carney's playing in the Big Three?
Rodney Carney's in the Big Three?
I did not know that.
I've been watching a lot of those games. I watched, in fact, the semifinal yesterday, and then was watching a little bit of the championship and had to leave. What team is he on? I don't even see him on a roster. I believe the person, but Rodney Carney, really? He must have been a late addition.
You're probably looking at rosters.
He had been a late addition to the Big Three. I'll tell you who was in the Big Three that starred. He was their MVP, and he led the team to the championship, and that's Joe Johnson, who's hoping to get an opportunity to get back into the NBA this upcoming season. Joe Johnson was tremendous in the league, for what it's worth, but he's had some tryouts with some teams, hoping to get one final hurrah in the NBA.
Car Wash USA Express, folks, don't be driving around in a dirty car. Keep it clean, keep it looking great with the help of Car Wash USA Express. I've got a bunch of bugs on my car, so I need to run it through Car Wash USA Express to get those cleaned off. The stuff they spray in your car as you're pulling in there does a great job of getting those bugs off the front of your car and off your windshield and everywhere else. And Car Wash USA Express, just overall, always get your car clean and looking great. Vacuums are free with purchase, so you can clean out the inside of your car as well. Just no excuse whatsoever to be driving around in a dirty car. They've got locations all over the area. If you go to carwashusaexpress.com, you can find the list of locations. Find the one nearest you and get on by there. Wash is starting at just $7. You can get the Fast Pass where you pay a monthly cost, and you can wash your car as many times as you want. You just can't find a better deal than that, because if you wash your car twice a month, you'll have more than paid for that Fast Pass. Just a great, great deal. Talk to the attendant on duty about the Fast Pass at any of the Car Wash USA locations. Again, carwashusaexpress.com has the list of locations. Find the one nearest you. Get on by there. Keep that car clean and looking great, because a dirty car is a dirty shame.
Yeah, I'm reading this right from the Big Three website. Rodney Carney has been acquired by the Three-Headed Monsters for the playoffs to replace Al Thornton. Again, this was a couple of weeks ago. The playoffs are already done. So Carney did play for the Three-Headed Monsters out of Indianapolis, Indiana, and, of course, a former Memphis Tiger great.
Good for him.
How about that?
And good for the Monsters. Time now for one final thing.
Before Greg and Eli get out of here for the day, they each have one final thing they think you should know to make it through the rest of your day. So here are Greg and Eli with one final thing.
LSU, Texas, all eyes will be on Texas this weekend for the Longhorns and the Bayou Bengals, but also the defending national champion Clemson Tigers will be taking on Texas A&M. They were installed early as a 19.5-point favorite, or underdog, the Aggies underdog to Clemson. Since then, I've seen it 18.5 and 19 at different books. But that doesn't matter to Jared Hocker, offensive lineman for the Aggies. As Joe Namath famously once predicted the Jets to win the Super Bowl over the Colts, he has predicted a victory for Texas A&M. The 6'5", 323-pound junior. He says the number 12 Aggies will spring the upset over number 1 Clemson in Death Valley. So there you go. Namath
almost got him last year.
Jared Hocker predicting that one.
How great that was at Texas A&M, but almost got him last year. I love this. The Rose Bowl has announced, the folks who run the Rose Bowl out there, the stadium, they're going to build a statue of Keith Jackson.
Love it.
Outside of the Rose Bowl.
Oh, I love that.
Which I think is, because that is, if you think Keith Jackson, like that to me is him saying the granddaddy of them all and all that stuff. That to me is perfect. If you're going to build a Keith Jackson statue, it should be at the Rose Bowl. I think that is awesome that he will have a statue outside of the Rose Bowl.
Is there any other stadium or that's associated with a bowl game that's more associated with a broadcaster than Keith Jackson? Is there any other ones that you could think of? Is there a name that rings true to the Cotton Bowl, or that rings true to the Sugar Bowl, or any of the other bowl games?
The only, with the Cotton Bowl, I don't know how many even did. Maybe Pat Summerall with the Cotton Bowl. But
yeah.
I just think of Pat Summerall, anything Texas, but
right. But you also think of Summerall a lot with the NFL, and I know Keith Jackson was originally on Monday Night Football and did all that. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that's somebody who deserves a statue. That connection with the Rose Bowl,
because like these team announcers get their statues at various places. Like when you're just have a national announcer, it's hard to figure. But Keith Jackson, absolutely, that's the perfect spot for a Keith Jackson statue.
Yeah, that was a good call by all those involved in that decision. We want to thank Connor O'Gara and Memphis Tigers defensive coordinator Adam Fuller for joining us on the program today. Tomorrow, among our guests, Blake Topmeyer from the Knoxville News Sentinel to talk about the Vols and that unbelievable upset loss to Georgia State and how they're going to try to get it together this weekend for BYU comes to town. Don Wade will join us for the dish. We'll have Humdinger's Trivia, 2.5 questions, and some other possibilities for guests tomorrow. Looking forward to the show. Don't forget, on Thursday, we'll do our NFL predictions. On Wednesday, Sigmund Bloom will answer all your fantasy football questions, and looking forward to having Mike Norvell back on Thursday for the Tiger Football Report. For Austin Eldridge and Eli Savoie, I'm Greg Gaston. Stay tuned. Johnny Radio's Happy Hour is coming up next. Enjoy the rest of your Labor Day, everybody.
If you ask old Will to say, here's the deal, friends, it's all gone.